Tell me when we're on the record. All right, call to order. Notice this meeting has been duly advertised. Oh, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm sorry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. The notice of the meeting. This meeting has been duly advertised according to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law, 1975, Sunshine Law. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wagner.
Here.
Mr. Julian.
Here.
Dr. Maruli.
Here.
Mr. Connor.
Here.
Mr. Merdinger.
Here.
Mr. Peason.
Here.
Mr. Lapani.
Here.
Vice Chairman Cohen.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Burchett.
Here.
Disposition of minutes. The October 22nd, 2014 minutes. Looks to me like everybody was here except for Member Merdinger and Dr. Cerisi. All right. Is this me or is this Frank?
One more.
Okay, thanks, bud. Oh, of course, I get the little chair. Thanks.
You can switch.
No, it's on it does it on purpose.
No, you can't switch.
I get leather now, too.
Minutes.
The
I'll
minutes.
make a motion that we move the minutes of October 2nd, 2014.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Wagner.
Yes.
Mr. Julian.
Yes.
Dr. Maruli.
Yes.
Mr. Connor.
Yes.
Mr. Peason.
Yes.
Mr. Lapani.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Cohen.
Here. Yes.
William Delcor.
Yes, here.
Deputy Mayor Burchett.
Yes.
And Chairman Dr. Cerisi.
Yes.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, for the record, just note that Dr. Cerisi has arrived at the meeting and Frank Delcor has
I'll
arrived
note
at the
that I've arrived, yes.
meeting. Just for the record, you know, we have to keep it on the record.
No, that's true, thank you, you're right, absolutely right.
Observe the formalities, Chairman.
No, absolutely. Disposition of resolutions?
Mr. Chairman, you have before you Mund Hillsborough Land LLC. All members of the board are eligible to vote except the chair and Mr. Merdinger.
So
Okay.
move the resolution for Munn Hillsborough, file 14 PB 13 SRV.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Wagner.
Yes.
Mr. Julian.
Yes.
Dr. Maruli.
Yes.
Mr. Connor.
Yes.
Mr. Peason.
Yes.
Mr. Lapani.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Cohen.
Yes.
Committeeman Delcor.
Yes.
And Deputy Mayor Burchett.
Yes.
Next up is the resolution for RB Manufacturing LLC.
Same as the other resolution, Mr. Chairman. All members are eligible except yourself and Mr. Merdinger.
Okay. Any discussion on it or corrections? All look good? Yes? And need a motion?
I'll move the motion for 14 PB 17 MSR.
Is this everything we
Second?
discussed?
I'll
Second.
it. Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wagner.
Yes.
Mr. Julian.
Yes.
Dr. Maruli.
Yes.
Mr. Connor.
Yes.
Mr. Peason.
Yes.
Mr. Lapani.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Cohen.
Yes.
Committeeman Delcor.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Burchett.
Yes.
Okay. Next up, Planning Board Business, Glengarry Corporation, which is 14 PB01MR, has asked for an extension for time of decision through December 31st of this year. So the board has to agree to that,
Yes.
okay? Is there a motion to agree to the extension?
I make a motion to extend Glengarry Corporation, file 14 PB01MR.
Second.
Okay? Roll call, please.
Yes. Mr. Wagner.
Yes.
Mr. Julian.
Yes.
Dr. Maruli.
Yes.
Mr. Connor.
Yes.
Mr. Merdinger.
Yes.
Okay. Vice Chairman Cohen.
Yes.
Committeeman Delcor,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Burchett,
Yes.
Chairman Dr. Seuss.
Yes. Next up.
May I speak to that motion?
No, sir. That's just a piece of business that is routine and not something that's subject to public comment.
It may be routine to you, sir.
No, sir.
You live in that area.
Sir, you're out of order, first of all. You're disrupting a public meeting. The application is not going to be heard tonight, okay? They're not here tonight. It's going to be adjourned until further notice.
But you are voting on the application.
No, we're not, sir. We're not voting on the application.
We're not.
No, you're voting on the extension.
Yes.
And I want to know why we need to give this.
Sir, you are out of order.
And,
You are disrupting a public meeting. Now,
well,
we will get to a point, sir, where we are going to announce that is going to be, that's not going to be heard tonight. If you want to be heard then raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged, and you can come up to the microphone, say who you are, and do it the proper way. Okay? This is the rule of law, sir, not the rule of mob rule, where anybody can get up and start screaming whatever they want to scream. Sir, that's enough.
you calling me a member of a mob, sir.
You are behaving like one, sir.
I'm not, sir. I'm behaving like a citizen.
No, a citizen follows the rule of law. That's enough of this. Now, next up is Township Committee Resolution, consideration number 1. A resolution referring proposed area in need of rehabilitation, resolution to the Planning Board for consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to address both consideration number 1 and consideration number 2. The board received either yesterday or today resolutions adopted by the governing body at Tuesday night's meeting relative to referring a proposed area in need of rehabilitation and a proposed area in need of redevelopment plan to the planning board for consideration as to blocks 163.05, lots 101, 102, 103, 104, and 105. There is a requirement pursuant to such to hold a hearing as to both matters. Municipal land use law requires, well, actually, it's Title 48 of the statutes requires that a hearing on the matter be conducted within 45 days of the receipt of the applications. My office has been working with Affordable Housing Council, the Planning Office, administration, et cetera, and we are asking that the board set down December 4th for a hearing on both matters. We will be noticing the area in need of redevelopment piece, which is required to be noticed. The area in need of rehabilitation is not required to be noticed, but will be heard as part of the application as a whole. So what we're asking for the board to do is set down December 4th to hear both matters. The Jennifer Beam from CME Associates, who is the author, will be the author of the report, will be here to testify and answer questions on that evening.
Now, we do these two properly, we do them separately,
Correct.
right? Okay. So the first up, which is the resolution consideration number 1, refers to proposed area in need of rehabilitation. So that's the proposed area in need of rehabilitation resolution.
Right, that would be to accept the resolution and to set down December 4th as a hearing for same.
Okay?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Wagner,
Yes.
Mr. Julian.
Yes.
Dr. Marubi,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Abstain.
thank you. Mr. Merdinger,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Cohen,
Yes.
Committeeman Delcor,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Burchett,
Yes.
Chairman Dr. Seuss.
Yes. So consideration number 2 is the resolution referred to us by the Township Committee requesting review and approval of a municipal affordable housing trust fund spending plan.
No.
No, that's 3? That's 3, I'm sorry. That's 3. That's the next one. It's referring the redevelopment plan to the Township Planning Board for consideration. Sorry. Got those
moved.
two mixed up.
Consideration number 2, so moved.
Second.
It would be to accept the resolution and to set down December 4th, 2014 for the hearing.
December 4th.
4th, 2014 for the hearing.
Roll call.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Julian?
Yes.
Dr. Maruly?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Abstain?
Thank you. Mr. Merdinger?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Cohen?
Yes.
Committeeman Delcor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Burchett?
Yes.
Chairman Dr. Suisse?
Yes. Now, the third resolution, which I mistakenly mentioned before, the resolution of the Township Committee requesting review and approval of Municipal Affordable Housing Trust Fund spending plan.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? From the board first. Hang on a minute. Any discussion from members of the board? Okay. Yes, you have a question? Could you come to the microphone and do it? Yeah, do it the right way here. Come to the microphone, state your name and your question. Oh, it comes out. It comes out.
I just don't want to wreck
Yes.
Okay, my name is Jane Schmelling, and I'm wondering, where can I see a copy of the trust fund spending plan? Is that available in copy format?
It's in,
I
yes.
wasn't aware that there was even a plan.
Yes, it is available from the Planning Department office, and you should also be able to find it online.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes. Certainly, if you cannot find it online and you come to the Planning Department, we would be glad to supply to you.
Perfect. I will be
Yes,
there.
great.
Thank you.
No. Okay, did we have, I forget now, did we have a motion already?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Yes. Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Julian?
Yes.
Dr. Maruly?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Merdinger?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Cohen?
Yes.
Committeeman Delcor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Burchett?
Yes.
Chairman Dr. Suisse?
Yes. Next. Special committee reports, we have none. Business from the floor for items not on the agenda. I would point out that the Glengarry hearing is, or mention of it is on the agenda. So anything not on the agenda. Next up is...
Yes, Steve
yes,
Gillen.
yes. Are you here for Copart?
I'm here for Cold
No, that's on the agenda, so when that hearing is opened, then you can come up for it. This is not for that. No, you're apparently not understanding because you said you're here for Copart.
But not the issues that are on the agenda. What I want to address.
No. If it has to do with Copart, you come up during the Copart hearing. And I don't care what you ask about Copart at that time, but this is for something that's not Copart, not Claremont Towers, and not Glengarry.
All right, because I was there last month and it was strictly limited where.
Well, it's going to be limited during testimony, but it's at the point before the thing comes to consideration, there will be a time for any questions from the public. So, again, all right. Consideration of ordinances, 2014-19, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 188, Land Use and Development, Article 4, Design and Performance Standards, Section 188-49, Flag Lots, and repealing and replacing Chapter 188, Attachment 2, Township of Hillsborough Schedule for Residential Zones of the Code of the Township of Hillsborough. So this is the ordinance before you. Bruce, anything?
Mr. Chairman, the ordinance before the board this evening addresses two zoning districts. They are the Mountain Conservation, the MZ Zone, and the AG Agricultural Zone districts only. And basically what we're trying to do is bring into conformity the master plan versus the zoning ordinance in order to bring parity and preserve the Sauerland Mountains, as has been expressed in the memorandum to the board dated November 7.
Okay, any questions or discussion from the board? Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move that.
Okay, to approve it and send it back? Second? Any discussion? No? Roll call.
Mr. Wagner.
Yes?
Mr. Julian.
Yes.
Dr. Marulli.
Yes.
Mr. Connor.
Yes.
Mr. Merdinger.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Cohen.
Yes.
Chairman Delcor.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Burchett.
Yes.
Chairman Dr. Sweet.
Yes. There'll be, of course, a public hearing on this ordinance when it comes back before the Township Committee for final passage. Next up is public hearings. The first matter, Glengarry Corporation, which is 14 PB01MR, blocks 182, lots 10, 11, 12, 45, 46 on 45 Hamilton Road. We received a notice that they would, for the extension, which we have approved to December 31st, and that is adjourned until further notice. Now, someone before wanted to comment on this application. Now would actually be the time to do it. If you want to come forward and comment on it or ask a question about it, now is the time. No? Okay. Here's for your information. These requests for extension are routine. We do them all the time. If we didn't do them, we could easily be sued successfully by an applicant for denying them routine due process. That you give someone an extension does not mean that you're going to approve their application, that you support their application, or that you're not going to hear their application fully. It's a routine administrative matter that it would actually be, in a way, almost outrageous of us, in most cases, not to grant. So understand what you're complaining about before you start complaining about it. That hearing will still have to take place, and you'll have all the opportunity you like to talk about that application at that time. Next up, Claremont Towers, 14 PB 10 MSRV. This is adjourned to the December 4th meeting without further notice, as per the instructions of the board. Bruce, anything to add on that?
No, sir.
Okay. So,
Mr. Chairman, just for the record.
Yes.
There was a requirement made, and there is a letter, I believe, in the board's packet from Peter Lanford, who is representing the applicant, that he was required to renotice an individual who apparently had been, the wrong address had been placed on the notification. We required him to make such as part of the agreement, not to renotice all others. So.
okay. Therefore, we have the one application we will hear tonight, which is Copart of Connecticut, Inc., amended, file 14 PB 15 SR, block 7301, lot 1, block 71, lot 101, 2124 Camp Road, seeking amended major site plan approval from conditions of Board Resolutions 10 PB 13 SRV, adopted on 3/3/11, and Board Resolution 11 PB 03 SR, adopted 5/26/11, to revise the hours of operation and restrict the existing driveway exit to right turn only.
Good evening. I'm Charles Liebling, Windell's, Marks Lane, and Mittendorf, representing Copart of Connecticut, the owners of 2124 Camplain Road, which is Block 73.01, Lot 1, and Block 71, Lot 1.01, located Camplain and Sunnymead Roads. You'll recall there's two lots. Front lot, 73.01 Lot 1 is the front lot. It has the building and the entrance and exit, and the rear lot is used for vehicle storage. We're continuing the application that we started at your October meeting. At that hearing, Kenneth Hopkins, who's the manager of the Champlain Road facility, testified regarding the operation of the facility, the modification of the hours of operations that Copart is seeking, as well as the mitigating measures being proposed. We have brief testimony to present tonight by the site engineer regarding the revisions to the site plan that are proposed to accomplish those mitigating measures. I believe we were in the middle of questioning of Mr. Hopkins, and certainly prepared to continue that. Also had some supplementary information to submit as part of Mr. Hopkins' testimony. Dr. Chair, I can do it in however you prefer.
Do we have a preference? No, board doesn't have a preference. Up to you.
Okay. All right. Let me just introduce this one exhibit. I believe we just got to A2 last time. There were just the two boards. So this would be A3. And what this is, it is a printout from the Klein Recycling Facility. It's a website. I printed it out today. It's A3, and what it does is it shows the hours of operation of Klein Recycling. And the reason that we are submitting it is basically just to provide some purposes of comparison as to how the hours that Copart is proposing compare favorably to those that Klein Recycling operates. And hope that the board will take that into consideration in connection with our application. If it's the board's pleasure, we could go through and identify hour by hour how they line up, but I'm not sure that's, I think you're a pretty bright bunch, and you know what our application is requesting. But in any case, you'll see that.
State it again, please.
Maybe for the record, you could just let
Please
us know.
state it for the record again.
I'm not sure I'm clear.
And for the audience as well.
Which part? The part that
All
you're
the
bright
hours
bunch?
that you're asking for.
Okay.
Everything from scratch.
Okay, all right.
And I also want to make one point clear.
Yes.
The reason why we sent you away and asked you to come back was we thought perhaps you would make another attempt, and this time get your ducks lined up in a row and testify in a, what's the opposite of disingenuous? Ingenuous manner.
Well, remember, he's a lawyer. He doesn't testify.
Yes,
As
well,
Mr.
he's trying
Merger
to.
will remind us.
You're-
Yes,
you're
he's
trying.
always trying to. Yes.
We got hung up on a little disingenuous comments and testimony, so at that point, that's where we stopped. And we decided to send you out of the room and ask you to come back. So now we want to start all over again. We're doing a restart. We're not doing a continuation. Not a real start, not a real start, but we want you to go through the broad strokes. But in this case, I want you to go through the hours again, now that you brought this up.
Okay, I can do that. Mr. Cohen, I am drawing a blank.
Excuse me, I can retrace it back to the point
No, I
we were
wish you-
discussing
I wish
when,
you would.
oh, the things are closed, the things are open, and I'm testifying that I saw it open. And your client could not answer me. Okay, and refused the answer. And I thought it was good for him not to answer. So
Okay.
I can have the testimony right back.
No, it's not. I remember it now. I didn't take it as disingenuous, just rather just kind of him not knowing what the situation was.
If
He
you
wasn't aware of
testify that
it.
there's nobody there after a certain point, if you testify that the gates are closed and the gates are open and there are people there on a constant basis, that's disingenuous.
Okay.
Now I am definitely not in a happy mood. All right? I
Thank
took
you.
it very well last time when I chaired
No,
the meeting.
No, thank you.
It's not happening that way.
Thank you
right
for
now.
reminding me. Would it be useful to address
And I
that
apologize to the
question?
board.
I'm sorry?
I apologize to the
Okay.
board.
Would it be useful to address that question right
Let's just
now?
over the hours, okay?
I think the concern is just trying to understand, because there was a lot of confusion at the end of the day of what you were asking for. So I think to come back and say that, everyone knows,
Okay, that's
frankly,
fine.
you know,
I didn't want to take up your time if you were...
Please take up our time.
Okay, all right, I'm happy to. Okay, what Copart is seeking is to extend the hours of operation when the business is open to customers to Monday through Saturday. Currently, the hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So what that means is that the Monday through Friday hours would continue, 8 to 5. Currently, the existing approval permits drop-off of vehicles for vehicles being delivered to the site between 5 and 11 p.m. That will continue. So we're not asking for any variation of that. What we're asking for about Saturday is the ability to also operate in those same hours, 8 to 5. And
For what purpose?
for when business demands require. It is not Copart's intention to be there every Saturday 8 to 5, but they need the ability.
No, I'm sorry,
Sure.
let me clarify my question. The question was for open to the public or for deliveries?
It would be open. It would be open for delivery and pickup, which is basically what open to the public means for the purposes of this facility. So those hours would be available as well on an as needed basis. And then the other request was that that full operations be allowed on Sundays when there is a state of emergency that resulting from hail or flooding or wind, whatever creates a crush for them in terms of inventory, that would need them to be open for some period of time necessary to bring those vehicles in. So those were the change in the hours. Then there were a series of mitigating measures that were being proposed to deal with the fact that they were requesting this extension. Should I repeat those as well?
If they're still on the table, yes.
Yes, they are absolutely. Okay, in the 8 to 5 business hours, the gates would be closed at 5 p.m. halfway to indicate closure, but allow the vehicles inside to exit. They would be closed completely after the last customer leaves and reclosed again after the last employee leaves. The signage would say business hours as Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We would not advertise the Saturday hours because they would not be regular. They would not be regular business hours. For delivery of inventory that is occurring between the 5 and 11 p.m., no more than 35 trucks per week, no more than a total of 90 damaged vehicles per week. The maximum size truck that would come in would be a 4-car carrier. The applicant would provide a certification of counts to the township on a monthly basis. The drop-off area would be monitored by video. The township would be able to review the video and drop-off logs to confirm those hours and numbers of trucks and damaged vehicles. And the sub-haulers, which are the companies that contract with Copart to bring the vehicles and drop them off, would be provided with those operating restrictions and be told that failure to comply would result in their termination. We're not seeking to have drop-off occur on Saturday after 5 or after 11 on any day. Particularly for Saturday, there'd be no use of motorized equipment, excluding the dust control equipment within 400 feet of the eastern property of the main lot, and we showed last time how far that extended. There would be signage installed on Champlain Road indicating that the parking restrictions are strictly enforced and that trucks parked there would not be serviced. There would be bilingual signs posted in the office reminding haulers to avoid trespassing on neighboring property. Exiting trucks would be able to make a right turn only, and signage and striping would be installed to that effect. Damage to lawns and landscaping of neighboring properties would be repaired. Privacy features would be installed in the front gate. Existing landscaping would be replaced where required, and a dust control protocol would be adopted through the use of a spray trailer, and you saw that picture last month. So that was the proposal.
Steve?
Yes.
What you stated that you were asking in case of a state of emergency. Now, a state of emergency where? Somerset County, New Jersey, New York?
Well, it would typically be northern New Jersey. The bulk of Copart's internet comes from northern and central New Jersey. Sometimes there could be overflow from other districts, but we're talking about a rare event, a Sandy type event that,
So you're stating that if the governor declares a state of
Yes.
emergency of New Jersey.
Yes.
But let's say the governor of New York declares a state of emergency and not New Jersey.
we're not asking for that.
Just clarification.
Okay.
And state of
With that,
emergencies are not as uncommon as Sandy, right? They pretty
Yeah.
much come with any
But-
snowstorm with 6 inches
But you
of
say-
snow or.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but only during the framework of the state of emergency?
Well,
Here's my point, and
Yeah.
we're back to the same issue we had last time.
yes.
Eventually, we've got to document this, right? It's got to be in a resolution,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know what you're asking for. I honestly don't.
Well, the list is what I just read, and it's in the
Okay,
application.
So, state of emergency,
Yes.
how long after the state of emergency are you open on Sunday? When does that end? When your 35 trucks come in after hours, they come in and they punch the button in and they come in. How do you monitor when you get to number 36?
Well, each night there's a log. So on Thursday night, they can see how many have come, and if we used up the 35, they can tell their sub-haulers we can't accept
But you
you
can't
on
stop
Friday.
them.
Sure, they work for us. They're contracted to Copart. We are trying to put restrictions around something that is quite fluid, and they're trying to do their business. They realize their business is not as friendly as a florist shop, and so we're trying to agree to restrictions that allow them to do their business and also protect the interest of the public. But it's fluid, and they're trying to do their best to.
We can't,
Mr. Chairman,
we can't put ordinance in fluid.
I don't think we're trying to put restrictions on you. I think we're trying to clarify what it is that you're asking for. And this is the third meeting, going back to the original amendment, where I also had questions about clarification, have not gotten any answers at all. And
But I guess if I'm saying during a state of emergency, shame on me if we're still having trucks come in after the state of emergency.
And who monitors that?
How does that help them?
Yeah.
Who? Shame on you. What does
How-
that
who?
do
Yeah,
for anybody living in the area who has all those
Well, I
trucks
would think
coming by?
at that point we are in violation of our approval.
Yeah, but we
Mr.
can't
Chairman?
clarify what state of emergency means.
No, I think that's the governor declares and rescinds a state of emergency. It's a matter of public.
Merdinger?
Yes, you know I always have a problem with the attorney doing all the
Testifying, of
testimony.
course.
I'd like to have an employee of the company sitting there.
Who actually can be
testifying.
held to something.
Yes.
Exactly.
Because we know that attorneys can lie here, and I can't do anything about it.
Yes, that's right. Well, none of us can.
I'm not lying. I'm just really repeating what came at the last hearing, but I'm happy to have my client repeat it.
Shall we do that?
We're happy to hear it.
Yes, we're happy to
Okay.
hear it.
Okay.
Why don't you do
I
that?
think we're all ready. I think the audience is ready too.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name, please.
Kenneth Hopkins.
Notice we didn't have to swear in the attorney,
No, well, you can't.
because he can lie.
Right.
Does that happen?
Yes.
It hasn't happened tonight.
Could we not?
Yes, let's not have the banter.
don't
Sir,
get
again, what is your position with Coparts?
I'm the general manager of the facility. I run the day-to-day operation.
Okay. Name Belcourt?
So I guess I'm back to the same questions I was just asking. I'm not trying to make your life difficult, but I really don't understand. In some cases, what you're asking for, let me finish my question. And more importantly, if there is an approval, how we put that on paper and track and monitor and control it. Because we talked about the same issues last time, and I want to understand what measures you have in place so that you've put this arbitrary number of 35, I think it was 35, that you can't have more than that. How do you control that? How do we control that?
Are we talking about the state of emergency, or was that was your first question?
Those both.
Okay.
So
Well, just to clarify for the state of emergency question, I mean, the way I envision this happening is if it was granted to us to operate in a state of emergency, that we would come to the township and say, listen, it's a state of emergency. We need to operate during this particular time frame.
And when the state of emergency ends, if it's a one-day state of emergency, you're no longer obligated or allowed to open on Sunday? Or is it, the state of emergency was issued and we get to work on Sunday for as long as we think we have to clear out what we need to do?
Well, the nature of our business, obviously a state of emergency is, there's an event that happens and it goes away. It's cleared up. But that's not where our work ends, because we deal with insurance claims.
Exactly my point. So
what I'm
how
asking,
do, so what is
state of
what is the
emergency
request?
ends, but the wreckage is still there.
right. Well, so what I'm envisioning this in my head is that we come to the board, or we come to the powers that be, I don't know who it would be, but we would ask that we could operate, here's the event, we need to operate on a Sunday from this time frame to this time frame. That's what we're asking.
Only on Sundays.
Well,
Well,
it adds Sundays.
adding the Sunday.
Adding Sundays to every other day.
So you have two questions that you're asking the board to give you permission to be open all the time for X amount of hours. And then you have this other severed situation that's an emergency, which I actually am not, unfair. I'm not disliking it, but with some fine tuning, if it's an emergency, it's an emergency. But I don't see why we need to tie the two together in this application. I think
Are you asking to run 24 hours a day during the state of emergency, during the week, and then
No.
operate on Sundays?
No, we're asking just to operate on a Sunday, in addition to
The normal hours.
Our hours, yes.
So, I'm sorry, just to clarify then, if the state of emergency was on a Thursday, lifted on a Friday, and now you have things coming in on Saturday, would you still want to be open on Sunday? As our other
right,
members
that's a-
pointed
that's a-
out, there's
that's
a
a great
lag.
question. That's a
So,
great question.
as Committee, Mr. Delcourt mentioned, how do we put that on paper?
And I testified at the last meeting regarding the influx of business that we have. We do provide, believe it or not, we do provide a service to the state of New Jersey. We get rid of the insurance claims. We handle that. Especially during a state of emergency, we're the folks that are cleaning up the cities. So, to answer your question,
You do that for a profit, though, too, correct?
of course,
Okay.
yeah, of course.
You're making it sound like you're giving us a charity by
Well,
going out there
I mean,
and
just
cleaning
to-
the
just
cars
to-
off for
just
us.
to-
So, thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to use an example, like during Sandy, the city of Hoboken said that all these cars need to be off the street in a certain period of time. Well, we went in there and we accomplished that. We got all those cars off the street of Hoboken. And we did that. I mean, obviously it's for a profit, but it still provided a service.
So my question still remains.
How do we put it on paper?
How do you put it on paper? What is the request? Is it when a state of emergency is issued, you get to operate on Sundays for as long as you deem necessary to clean up the inventory from the state of emergency? Do you need to come to us and say, we'd like to open Sunday, can you grant us that approval? You go to Zoom. I don't know what you're asking for.
Can I answer the question with an example? Maybe to clarify my
Okay.
answer?
I think so, but ultimately, we're going to have to get to something that we can write down. And I did not understand that. I presented it as I understood it, which was during the state of emergency. So what you're saying is a departure from that.
Microphone, please.
I'm sorry. And so,
Mike's point in case in point. Sorry, case in point.
I just didn't know. I wasn't.
I'm glad I'm not sharing it.
The request did include upon prior notice to the township. Upon prior notice to the township, allow full operations on Sunday in response to the state of emergency.
What's the matter? Oh, your power's off on your microphone.
Green? Okay, sorry. Okay. We need to develop something that will enable you to come in and make a request and say, based on this state of emergency, we need to be open for the next 3 Sundays or the next 4 Sundays or something along those lines. And,
Yeah.
Right, well, that's what
I think we all recognize that
Yes.
at some point you need to run your business, right? We're trying to balance that with making sure that the surrounding area has some accommodation as well. I just, honestly, you need to tell us what it is you're asking, so we can make a clean decision on the request at hand.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Is the applicant amending its application regarding this issue? Because the application does not require approval. It merely requires a notice. So I'm asking whether or not the applicant is amending its application by now seeking potential approval, or is it simply wanting to say, I want to call somebody up in the township and say, oh, by the way, we're going to, now that the governor's declared an emergency in Hoboken, that we're going to be open for the next fill-in-the-blank Sundays.
I'm not sure, this is part of the pending application.
I realize
Right,
that, but
so I'm not sure the question.
The question is, Mr. Liebling, the request does not ask for anything other than a notice. Is the applicant indicating it's seeking approval from the municipality, or is all it's planning on doing is calling somebody designated by the municipality to tell them that based on a state of emergency, they intend to operate for a period of time?
Until they're done.
Until they're done.
It's
And then who decides what's done? That's the jello.
It's
No.
asking for the approval of the township, of this board, to permit operation during those hours upon prior notice to the township.
So what's it in?
So that it's not, it's just a notice. The
But-
wording here says notice.
Right.
And a notice means you can tell Cecilia that, I'm going to go and open on Sundays, and that was a notice. Basically, I think we're
Cecilia's
trying
our
to cross the bridge
receptionist.
to get the words that say
Yeah,
something.
for those who don't know, Cecilia's the receptionist who sits out in front
You
of
walk in the
our
hallway, you
business
say
hours.
hello to Cecilia,
Yeah.
and say I'm open on Sunday. Goodbye. So basically, we're trying to get the wording that
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
proposed.
yes.
And notice is not really acceptable.
Then let's work it out.
Well, you're the one that said you're going to ask, and ask is different than notice. But I always like to get the person that works for the company to say it. But what if you change the wording to something that says, get approval,
Permission, whatever.
permission, and put a finite time on it for a week, and then add weeks on after that. But this is so broad and so open, it's unacceptable.
Would it be through the township engineer or the township planning department, or is that
This is
how you
something that
would?
you should have worked out with the planning department before you even showed up.
Yeah, but they didn't. So basically,
Well, no.
Yeah.
If you're talking about what in a state of emergency, what would we think it would look like? Okay, suggestion. In a state of emergency, who is it that you would want to talk to get permission to have extended hours? And to me, there's two that make sense, which is the administrator and the head of emergency management,
OEM.
our OEM director.
Yeah, but-
Those are huh?
But the state of emergency relative to your OEM director only applies to an emergency here.
Oh, no, but the OEM director would be.
It's still someone who
He
can
would be
give
dialed-
permission.
he would be
True.
dialed in to the state system.
He's here full-time.
And understand whatever's happening in Hoboken.
Yeah, it's just
They can-
responsibility to understand what's going on, generally
They would have
speaking.
an
Understand what
easier
your
time of
responsibility-
coordinating with other localities.
But if your point is that the administrators are better, that's fine. But in
If
other
that-
words,
that's what
then,
this board wants.
your point would be then, instead of saying, well, if there's what you want the board to approve now is that, well, when there's a state of emergency, we give notice to the township and we operate for as long as we like. Instead, now, we're saying that perhaps it would be, when there's a state of emergency, we are required to obtain permission from the township administrator for opening extra hours on Sunday on a week-by-week basis. All right, so the administrator would continue to review it each week that you want to open on a Sunday, for as long as the administrator thinks that it's justified. Is that what you're saying?
Is
Something
that
like that?
I can't
Well, I would-
believe that we have 11 board members, an audience, and we're working it out. You should have,
perplexed.
this
I'm-
should have been
Where we're
worked
at.
out, and you
I can't
present
imagine
what you
anybody's
want to
paying this
have
guy
in
to
front of this board.
That's what I'm just saying, that's where we're at.
This is comments.
So I guess the board's telling you that we're not going to accept, no one here has expressed that they would accept, a situation where you just give notice and operate for as many Sundays in a row as you like.
I'd like to know what state of emergency is, a definition,
It's
and what they
declared by
want
the-
to have.
Declared by the governor, I think.
Okay, you
Yeah.
think?
No, I
They should
mean,
present what it is.
yeah.
And
No,
then-
I mean, that's what a lawyer should tell us, actually, is legally
I
what's
suppose
this.
the applicant should tell you he's seeking.
No, I know it's what he's telling you seeking. Greg asked a different question. What's the legal definition
The
of a
legal
state of...
definition is
Yeah.
an emergency declared by the governor or his or her designee
Okay,
pursuant to the conditions established by law.
okay.
So are you making it up for them? Is that what you're doing?
No. Which is why I
That's the legal
commented, which is
definition.
why I prefaced it, and then the chair asked me to explain, was it's not my definition to propose, it's the applicant's definition to
You're not
propose.
testifying.
You see what the board wants. You see what the public wants. I would recommend that you ask for an extension and come back with some definition, what you want. We don't have anything to vote on. Now, you're sitting there trying to put it together with this group. I don't want to put it together for you. I want to vote on what you have to say.
Okay, I'll wait and then I'll.
I'm done.
Okay. We asked for specific changes, and it include a state of emergency, which I believe this board can take notice of what that means. It often, when I'm before boards, we discuss requests and revise them to accommodate the board's preferences. I'm not sure why this falls outside that typical common practice. I'm not sure who I would have worked this out with before. I mean, we made a request, and now we're exchanging comments on it. And if I come back with something else, we may have to do it again. So I don't find this. We set up on prior notice. We're hearing that that's unacceptable. Now we're.
Okay, so when does it end?
So, let me ask my client here.
What is a state of emergency?
No, Greg, that I believe you got a legal definition of. There is a legal definition of a state of emergency, but the better question is, when does it end?
And who?
When does, no, not when does a state of emergency end, because it's when the governor rescinds it. When does their operation under the guise of a state of emergency end? That's what you gotta ask.
So let me ask my client. Provided you continue to present evidence to the township administrator of the continued overflow of cars, can we leave it to the administrator to determine on a week-by-week basis the ability to open on Sunday? And I think with those, a government official can't be unreasonable, and it sounds like that's what the board is looking for. But ultimately,
No,
it's your-
that's what I personally suggested, is
Okay.
just kind of along the lines of what you want.
Okay.
I'm simply suggesting something that sounds like it would be a proposal from you that would seem reasonable. Whether it's what, I'm not reading everybody's minds here,
okay.
I don't
It
know.
sounded-
I'm just saying
I
that, if you're
appreciate
going to
that.
pick a township official, those struck me as the two officials to pick,
I don't
who are
disagree.
always available
Mhm.
and who are, seem appropriate to ask. It's just a thought, as you say in the discussion.
Mhm.
What you ultimately want to propose to us really is yours to do.
Right.
But if you're interested in the discussion, that was a discussion point I happened to bring up for thought.
Understood. Does that strike you in one way or another?
I mean, I don't have a problem with the week by week, but I just would like to have someone that is readily available, of course, and someone that understands the business. And I'll just use an example. David Coyce, I worked a lot with him. He understands. We got a relationship together. We understand. He understands the business. He's always told me if he's told me in the past that if we have to operate outside our hours, inform him first. So I would like to have that type of relationship along with someone that has is accessible all the time.
We can't take a
The
person.
administrator is
Well,
in
not
charge.
just one person, but you know.
Yeah, but the administrator's in charge of all the employees in the township.
Oh, okay.
And David
I didn't know that.
reports
That's very
upward
short.
through Bruce.
All right, I didn't know that.
To the
Sorry.
administrator.
He works.
Yeah, and so the appropriate person is the administrator because he's going to be consulting with the other appropriate people, including the mayor and the people that are involved, like Mr. Delcourt and Mr. Burchett, that would be notified of this, and then they would go and handle it that way. But the administrator is the perfect person.
That's great. That sounds good.
Yeah, I didn't mention David, the zoning officer, simply not because I don't like or respect his work or his thoughts on it, but he's rather junior to be making a decision of this nature.
You're absolutely right. It needs to be, and then they'll consult with whoever they.
Right, and the administrator certainly would do that.
Regarding verification, sorry, Cass. Regarding verification and validation, is it somewhere in your forms when you're submitting the documents that you're processing from these emergency, quote-unquote, type vehicles that are, as a result of a state of emergency, is there a way of do you differentiate between how these vehicles are now in your possession? Is there a coding that you use?
There is a coding we use. It's called CAT, Catastrophe Code.
So then, if for example, since we're already down this road, Greg, and we're working it out. So in the event that you call Anthony, and then we need to validate that at some period of time thereafter that you honored the agreement, and there should be some penalty involved if you didn't, so that when you submit these documents, you can submit these documents, right?
Honoring which agreement? There is no agreement
Well, whatever
relative
the
to
agreement
that
is that they
relative
honor.
to that issue. Understand that the proposal from the applicant for the limits on number of trucks, number of vehicles, goes out the window.
No, I get that.
On this issue. So what agreement are we going to have?
Well, I'm just saying, if we get to a point where, Eric, what I'm saying is, if we get to a point where we already started talking about calling Anthony and getting permission. That's the next step is, how do we verify and validate? That would be if there's some way of knowing that whenever anybody wants to walk in, we send David in and say, I want to see all your paperwork for the last 2 weeks that you're open on those Sundays. Let me see these forms. Can I tell that everything that came in was as a result of a catastrophe?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, may I ask the witness
Yeah.
a question?
Mm-hmm.
How long, when you were operating relative to Sandy, were you quote-unquote open? Beyond what I would refer to as your current normal business hours?
During Sandy.
And
after.
After,
And
more
after.
importantly.
How long did it take you to deal with the aftermath of Sandy?
It was. Let me think.
Take your time. I'm not going anywhere.
It was the influx of business was around January when it died down.
So October,
So
November,
October.
3
December,
months.
January, 3 months, 12 weeks.
And now, mind you, that was the largest storm.
Right, but ballpark, we're not looking for exact numbers.
But you need which emergency generates which situation? Remember,
Good point.
Sandy didn't hit Hoboken directly. It hit further south the last time we all looked. They were dealing with cars because there was flooding in Hoboken as a result of the storm. For those of you who have spent any time in Hoboken know that if it rained more than an inch, you get flooding in Hoboken. It's sitting ostensibly in a marsh. So I think before you start determining, okay, how many weeks does this state of emergency get? How many weeks does that state of emergency get? I think the problem is it's a moving target.
Right.
That the state of emergency is, for all intents and purposes, almost perfunctory in nature. because the governor declares it, and at some point, the governor ends it, and the aftermath is what they're really talking about dealing with. The issue is not the state of emergency. You're proposing to stay open on Sundays when there's a when the state of emergency has ended days before. You're talking about staying open relative to the aftermath of the state of emergency.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
We got there.
So, the point is to Mr. Cohen's comment is, how do you know when we send somebody in?
When you must stop sending somebody in.
When enough's enough.
Exactly, good point.
Mr. Chairman, can I just interject?
I was just thinking outside the box.
Yes, you can interject, and I also, but first I want to clarify something. I was just bringing up something that I thought might be reasonable for you to propose. It doesn't mean that everybody here agrees to it.
No, I understand,
Yeah.
and I think it was
Right.
very reasonable.
So go ahead,
There's-
whatever you want to bring
Copart
up.
has no desire to stay open on Sunday any more than it needs to. So to hire people to be there, to get in other cars, it's just counter to any business sense. They're only open because they would need to be. So I understand that the township would want verification, but I think there's also a natural incentive that you can look to, that to be open when you don't need to be doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Can we go back to the other issue? I'm sorry, Mike, you want to ask a question?
Yeah, but I'm going to switch a little bit.
Of course. Yeah.
On the Sandy emergency, you leased a piece of property. I believe it was Hercules on Valley Road, and you stored lots of vehicles there. But I don't think you had permits, and there was a fire. I'm a volunteer fireman. And there was a fire there, and this was like, okay, the aftermath of Sandy said that you had to take care of this thing right away, but there was no coordination with the township, and there was not too safe of a situation. It was very muddy, and the firemen couldn't even get the trucks close to the fire. So I haven't heard you say a word about that, but I just wanted to put that on the record. That's a secondary problem that you have to take care of in the situation if you're going to go and lease another piece of property. Are you aware of that? Did I speak the truth?
No, I mean, I don't know I'm not privy to the legal, if we had permission, we didn't have permission, but I can certainly attest to that. We learned from our mistakes.
What about the fire?
The fire, I mean, unfortunately, that is something that happens with cars that are flooded. The electrical system, if the key is still stuck in the ignition, the car could still be hot, and it does happen. I mean, some Copart yards across the country, I've heard stories that cars do catch on fire. I mean, it wasn't obviously intentional. I mean.
Oh no, I didn't say it was, but I'm just saying that if there's notifications and coordination with the township, that would make the fire departments more aware of the situation and be prepared for it and say, please give us a little bit of access here so we because you're storing them in soil, mud, if it rains, and it was very hard access. But I wanted to bring that out, Mr. Chairman, just to make sure that this also is on the record, because I think we want you to be a good neighbor to everybody, not just the people in the audience and people around you, but the township in general.
Right, and I certainly, because I've never experienced anything like the event that we had, but we have definitely learned the right way to do things, and that's basically why we're here today.
Going back to the issue of capping the number of vehicles or the trucks that come through after hours. Can you please explain to me how you control that and monitor?
We have a log every morning. Someone goes out there and counts the cars, notes. We have a lot number, which identifies the car. So they'll write the lot number down, and then we'll bring those cars in from the bullpen area into our storage area where they're received. And that happens every morning. So we have a count of how many cars that come in that prior night, and we also have video surveillance. Does that answer your question?
No. So when you get to 35, how do you stop 36?
Well, it's not a perfect system.
I recognize that, which is why I'm asking you, why are you putting it, why do we have this measure that can't be controlled?
Well, I guess the point of us putting that measure in there is to mitigate some of the
But it's not a mitigation, it's a requirement.
Do you realize that
I think you guys are missing, this.
What's
You're asking us to do a resolution that says you cannot do this.
Right.
And every time you guys tell, well, maybe,
No,
we're close.
We
but-
understand that is a that would be a
So
requirement.
how do you stop it?
So the next morning, we find out that we've capped out on the many cars that can be dropped off. Then we communicate to our contractors that they are not allowed to drop off after those hours.
After 37, 38,
8 to
39,
5
40 have
only.
showed up in the yard.
And the question we asked last time was, so if you had 34 cars today, trucks, deliveries, and 4 deliveries came in overnight, and you were 3 over, now you've exceeded it, not by 1 or 2, could be 3, whatever. How do you monitor that, and what's the consequences of it?
And guys, this is your request,
Yeah.
not our requirement. That's what.
Well, we could ask for 100 trucks and know that we would never have a problem, but we're trying to create a structure that we can work within. And if 2 guys came that night, obviously there is nothing we can do about it. I can't tell you we'll have a guard there, but these are requirements that they will work within. And there might be 36 trucks one week, and we all know that. But we have a requirement, and if it's 70 each week, well, then obviously the zoning officer comes out, and a citation is issued. So I'm not sure. We can have a number, but and we will. That is the number.
I understand the intent of what you're trying to do. I do. I understand that you're trying to limit the numbers, accommodate the residents in the area so they don't have trucks coming through hundreds a week. I get that. My point is you're putting a requirement on that you have no ability to really stop.
The wording is poor. To say no more is like, boom, that's a cutoff. And your previous testimony you said it's an average, which it isn't. But basically, I think you have to change the words from no more to something more reasonable. But the objective is to keep the 35. Because you can't, when you start writing things saying no more, that's a deadline.
Well, I mean, approximately would be okay with us. We didn't think would be okay with you.
But this goes back to my original comment. It's you guys that are asking. We're not telling.
Right.
So.
Right. And so we were being tough on ourselves by saying no more.
It sounds like to me that.
That's what I've been trying to tell you.
It sounds like to me that you're giving us hours of operation to put on a plaque that aren't worth anything. You basically want to run 24 hours a day, and then maybe on Sundays if all of a sudden the government, because you're allowed to bring trucks in at night and be dropped off at any point till 11. So let's say it's close to 24 hours, but obviously all day and up to 11 to drop off after night. So the hours of operation of 8 to 5 really aren't in, other than the fact that your gate will be open for someone to come in and look. So until 11 o'clock, trucks can bring and drop off up to this 35 number. And then if you really get busy, maybe we'll throw some Sundays in there too. So really the crux of the matter is we have no idea when you're going to be open and when trucks are going in, when trucks are coming out. The people that live around the town that want to have some degree of a handle around, and you gave us this, your neighbor here, a good, that are open, at least their trucks are only running during these times. There's nobody coming in after hours to dump steel. They're only going to be there Monday through Friday and Saturday. So you're asking for a much larger bridge than just these hours, plus the flexibility to bring more trucks, and then the flexibility to open on Sundays
Yes,
if
yes,
you need.
We are, and the reason that we're doing this is a permitted use. This is a permitted conditional use. There are no
I understand it's permitted,
No,
but it doesn't mean that you can run whenever you want.
It does mean that.
Then why are you here?
There are no conditions in your ordinance that restricts the hours of this operation. It could run 24 hours a day. We don't want to run 24 hours a day. We are trying to be good neighbors and ask for and agree to reasonable restrictions. You don't have the right to impose these restrictions, but we have agreed to them. We agreed to them as part of the first application, and we are back now to continue to operate reasonably. And you're making it impossible.
No, I will concur with Mr. Liebling that the ordinance is devoid of specific hours of operation. When his client came before this board for the last two resolutions, we had a discussion about the hours of operation, and they were operated. And everybody came to this agreement, and it was Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, and trucks after between 5 and 11, Monday to Friday. Nothing on Saturday, nothing on Sunday. And then Nirvana came. And Nirvana came in the form of Superstorm Sandy. And we had significant problems with the applicant, and the applicant's aware of it. It's been discussed on the record before, and now we're looking to see what we can do. I think, Mr. Liebling, what might help the board a little in terms of this issue of the drop-off and the number is some kind of testimony from your client as to, and I put this in quotes, a normal week. How many trucks come in? How many cars come in? How many times do they turn people away? Because what you're indicating to us is you're putting restrictions on through the application, which would, without any foundation upon which the board can determine whether or not these restrictions are in fact reasonable. They need to be more restrictive or less restrictive.
Or whether they're enforceable.
Yes. Separate apart from the enforceable piece, that's a separate issue. But for we've thrown out numbers, no more than 35 trucks, no more than 90 vehicles, no more than 4 car trailers. For the board to make a decision as to whether those issues, separate apart from how they're enforced, are reasonable or not, I think the board needs some foundational information relative to how things are operating right now over there under the current time frame that you're operating under.
Okay, I'll let him testify.
They've already testified to that.
We can do it again. The proposal was based on discussions with Copart headquarters, Copart executives, as to what could be worked. So these.
No, what I'm asking for, Mr. Liebling, is we're not in a state of emergency.
Mm-hmm.
Your client is currently operating Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, and allowing for drop-offs Monday to Friday till 11.
Right.
On a normal week,
Go ahead.
how many cars come in after hours? How many cars come in total? How many trucks? And what sizes? So the board could get some, rational basis upon looking at your proposal and saying it's rational, it's not rational, it needs movement.
Yes, I believe I testified to that the last time we had this meeting. I don't have the numbers in front of me because it's something that I don't typically some numbers I don't typically monitor. So I don't want to contradict myself on the record. If I could just find what I.
Do you have that by any chance? Okay. Can okay. Maybe we can phrase the question differently. On a typical week, you're able to get your work done Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, with the evening drop-offs.
Yes.
Okay. How often, if you could be open on Saturday, if you're permitted to be open on Saturday, how often would you do that outside of a state of emergency?
Very rarely. As far as dropping off cars there would be a minimal amount of cars. I would estimate there would probably only be 8 cars to 12 cars dropped off.
Okay. So how would you determine whether or not to open on a given Saturday?
Well, the reason why we're requesting Saturdays for our donation business, because a lot of folks are open. I mean, a lot of folks are at work during the week, and we can't service those donors. So allowing us to operate on a Saturday and drop off cars on Saturday would benefit our business.
So it would happen now and then? Is that how that works? Or maybe just for a few hours on a Saturday? I'm assuming that donors don't all pile up to a given Saturday, that it's each week.
No, it would be each week. There would be a scattered amount. You know, like I said before, I estimate there would be 8 to 12 cars based on our volume that we currently have with our donation business. And most of our donation business, we do pick up cars during the week, but there are the select few that cannot get off work.
Okay. So you did contradict yourself. You said you would be open rarely on Saturdays. I just need to make clear for the board. Would you be open each Saturday to deal with these donors, or only maybe you tell the donors we're open the first Saturday of the month? If you could be open on Saturday.
If we were dropping cars off, if we're allowed to drop cars off on Saturday, it would be every Saturday.
Okay. Okay. So.
I mean, I can't say that we would. The business fluctuates too much to where I can't give an answer to where.
So you're looking to be able to be open on Saturday.
Not to the public.
Just for drop-offs.
Just for drop-offs.
Okay, and that's not what
An
we
officer.
asked. We did ask for. We did ask to be open to the public on Saturday. We wouldn't post it, but it was open to the public on Saturday.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then I misspoke then.
All right. The Committeeman Delcourt's comment is apt. We have to tell them.
I don't know what you want. I don't know how else to say
Tell them what we want. We applied to be open to the public on Saturday, 8 to 5.
And that's because of the donor program and because of...
Right, correct.
And for overflow,
and flux of
accidents happening in the
business.
right?
Yeah.
The 8 to 12, but you don't know, normal, but you don't know how many donor cars are gonna come in, on top of the 8 to 12.
Right, well, I mean,
Or
it's,
is the 8 to 12 including the donor? Includes the donor?
we just want to be able to drop off cars on Saturday.
So you're not differentiating between donor cars and...
And I'm telling you the reason why is because we have an influx of business. There could be an inch of rain in Hoboken, and we could have 60 cars to pick up on an influx of 60 cars. So we would need a Saturday to catch up.
But you don't have a fix on donor cars, just for the hell of it.
Okay, so I think we're saying we want the right to be open on Saturday. Normally, may not be open every Saturday, may not be open all day on Saturday, but they want to be able to be there.
General right to open on Saturday.
Would you be okay? Would you be okay with 3 o'clock so you can match up with clients, so that area kind of opens and closes all at the same time?
I think we would be setting ourselves up for failure for that one.
2 hours is going to kill you?
Well, I think that the more we can be the same as far as the days of the week, the better. Consistency, in my opinion, is better. I don't want it to be convoluted to where it's, Saturdays it's 1 to 2, and then, Sunday it's 8 to 5. You know what I mean? I want it just to kind of be a
8 to 5.
8 to 5.
Can we maybe take
10-minute break. I
yeah.
think Lucille needs a 10-minute break. Okay? We'll be back in 10 minutes. If
Have this banged out before it gets to the board.
we can get started again. All right, so we're back. Counselor?
Yeah, I think we're trying to, right now, work through the issue of enforceability and after-hours deliveries. Is that where we left off?
I think so.
Yes, okay. Mr. Merninger suggested that saying no more than 35 trucks per week was setting up a threshold that would be difficult to enforce on both by the township and by Copart. And I don't disagree. And whatever number we pick, that will happen unless we pick 10,000, which no one wants. No one's proposing. I don't have another idea for proposing a limit that Copart has determined it can live within in terms of number of trucks per week, number of vehicles per week, types of trucks, other than to select a number and create an enforcement mechanism for that to happen. If the board believes that the approximately or averaging over a period of a month or something becomes more manageable, we will always have the issue of that there's a certain number, but perhaps that creates greater flexibility, greater avoiding the Thursday night panic that Dr. Marulli pointed out that would basically be unresolvable. So we are willing to work with the board to develop another standard that everyone believes is more manageable.
Mr. Bernstein? Mr. Chairman, I'm not so sure that the proposal is in and of itself unmanageable. I think there are two issues here. First of all, and I apologize if I sound like I'm beating a dead horse. When you propose a number, you generally are coming from some place to have come up with that number from. Your proposal for delivery of inventory occurring during evening hours, no more than 35 trucks a week, no more than 90 damaged vehicles per week, a maximum size truck of 4 car carriers. I think what the board needs, Mr. Liebling, whether it's in writing, whether it's by testimony or by both, is some record in a normal, typical week or set of weeks that your client has been operating for the last X number of years, what kind of numbers we're looking at. If the answer is, on the average, it's 30 trucks a week, 82 vehicles a week, maximum car carrier is 4 carriers except every once in a while, I think the board at least has some basis to decide whether or not the number here is reasonable or unreasonable. In terms of the certification accounts, I think it probably makes more sense to do it on a weekly basis than on a monthly basis. Because frankly, a monthly basis leads a significant time frame for addressing the issue. If it becomes apparent, I don't think the township, let me put it this way, the township itself may not want to. The neighbors, it will be a separate issue at a separate point. But I'm not sure the township wants to, and I'll defer to the 2 members of the committee, standing outside with a counter, counting off how many trucks and how many cars. On the other hand, it becomes, they start seeing, okay, this week it was 38. The following week it's 37. There's got to be an issue dealt with. Either somebody's not making the phone calls you claim they're supposed to make, or somebody doesn't know how to count, or somebody just doesn't get the fact that we've got an obligation. We're going to start summoning you and imposing fines. And maybe that's another part of the puzzle. And I don't think I've ever seen one of these, but if the applicant's willing to agree to an amount that they're willing to be fined for every time they violate any of these conditions, the board would have to consider that issue. In terms of the video, I'm not sure I recall what the testimony was. Where is the video? How does it run? Is it an ongoing 24/7 video? And what am I monitoring? when you ask the governing body, the township, I'm not saying when you ask the township to review and the drop-off logs, I think they need to have a basis upon where it's coming from. So, I mean, that's at least the initial thoughts, Mr. Chairman, in terms of a concept, because otherwise the board is simply, discussing a morass. I understand what the applicant's trying to do. I understand the applicant's trying to address what it appears to be a situation that either exists now or it's concerned it will exist. But I'm assuming, having operated with the after-hours drop-off all these years, you should be able to relatively easily, leaving aside the abnormal, to be able to provide snapshots for the board of what has gone on, in October of 14, in September of 13, pick months where we didn't have, states of emergency and you weren't pulling cars from everywhere all over the American wilderness, at least to give the board some kind of idea. And I think the other proposal, I think the board members have indicated, is how are you planning on policing it, and what are you proposing the township does to you if you violate this?
Are you able to speak to how your weekly reality compares to what we're asking for in terms of limits on drop-offs Monday to Friday evening?
Yes, on average.
Mike, please.
Currently, on average, we are 12 cars are being dropped off between the hours. On average, 12 cars a day are being dropped off in the bullpen from the hours of 5 to 11.
So that would be about 60 per week.
Correct.
Okay, and we capped it at 90.
And how many trucks?
Approximately 25 to 30 trucks, depending on configuration.
Any of them more than 4-car trailers?
No.
How does the video, what is the video film?
The video is located in the office. There is approximately 8 cameras that wrap all the way around the building. There's 2 lines of sight that are in the bullpen / parking lot area, and it's 24 hours surveilled.
And you can see on the video how many trucks and how many cars are dropped off between 5 and 11.
Correct.
It's visible.
It's visible.
How long does the video exist?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. That's pretty
In addition, there's a log that would also be kept as to how many cars were dropped off there.
Correct. And it's not a log, it's a dual purpose log. It serves our own interest as well as this proposal. We inventory all the cars that come in the night drop, we call it, the cars that are delivered at night, between the hours of 5 and 11. We go in the next morning to ensure that there's no unusual missing items from those vehicles. Nothing's been disturbed. We inventory those vehicles, make sure that, we are in an industry where theft is prevalent, so we make sure that radios are still there and parts are not taken off the vehicle.
Okay, so you have a written count as well as a video backup of what was dropped off at night?
Correct.
Okay, so you can keep track. Is that helpful, Mr. Munson?
I think it's helpful to your client as well as to the board, Mr. Liebling.
Questions?
How visible is the video at night? Is it well lit? Can you comment on that?
The video is, it's not a high definition video. It is visible at night. There is infrared on the cameras. It does only discern at this farthest point. There's no definition as far as you can't read off a number or a letter.
Can you count the number of trucks?
But you can identify the particular truck, the configuration of the truck, the color of the truck, and how many cars are being dropped off by that truck.
So who's going to monitor this?
Copart employees.
And we're proposing that we provide a certification.
Microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're proposing that we provide a certification of accounts. I heard someone mention a weekly basis, which is fine, of how many happened each week, and that would be made part of whatever your weekly responsibilities are.
Okay. Other questions? Counselor, are we, I wasn't at the last meeting, I guess, are we still open as a public hearing for the public to?
I think we are. If the board wants to make a motion to open to the public again so that there's a record of it, I think you can do so.
Mr. Chairman, Dr. Chairman, do you mean for questions for?
Yes.
Okay, all
For
right.
witness, yes.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, motion to open the public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, those with questions for this witness can raise your hand. I'll start over here in front, Sue.
Our public.
Susan Gulliford, Hunt Club Road.
Pull it out of there, Sue. Pull it
Come
out.
on, Sue, you've done it enough. You know
Come on,
how to
pull it out of there.
Okay, I'm sorry I'm not going to trucks and counts and stuff. I have a question. You made a comment that damage to surrounding properties would be repaired. Making it a question. I don't understand why the comment is necessary. It seems like something is wrong if the property is being repeatedly damaged. Why can't they say they're going to correct the problem that's causing the damage to the surrounding properties?
That's the question for you.
That's what I worked on.
With this proposal, we are, if you're referring to the shrubbery, that's something that we will replace and we can replace. It's very hard for those trees to grow, especially when the plow plows the salt on them and they die the next summer. But
You're talking about your own property.
yes,
I
as far as
the question was about
neighboring
other
properties,
people's property.
as
Yeah.
far as the neighboring property, the only damage that I'm aware of is the neighbor across the street, where we have a communication. We've had communicated and have repaired his yard unsuccessfully because it keeps repeating itself. But our proposal is, and I believe there was supposed to be testimony.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
There's supposed to be testimony. There will be testimony with the engineer going over a plan on how to fix the problem altogether, so that everybody's happy.
Okay. Okay. Second, the signs on Camplain Road. You've brought up at least 2 previous meetings. So there's still no signs on Camplain Road about the trucks not parking or idling out in front?
No, there is not currently. That's part of our proposal with the board, so we can get that approved and make sure that folks that are parking there are held accountable for doing so.
Okay. And Saturday, no use of motorized equipment except something to do with the dust. My question was specifically what equipment would not be allowed to be used on Saturday? What equipment is causing the problem, I guess, for the neighbors?
In our proposal, we're requesting that there be a quote-unquote demilitarized area, meaning that there's an area, a buffer area, where we will not operate the machinery due to dust issues from the neighboring properties. The only thing that would be permitted to operate in that particular buffer zone would be the dust control device, which is a sprayer that will spray down the dust when needed.
So the problem isn't with the noise of the equipment that you would not, it's a dust problem, it's not a noise problem with that equipment?
As far as I'm aware, I did survey the neighbors. I did drop off some flyers last year when the board recommended it to meet with the folks. That was their major complaint.
Re-ask a question, Susan, if I might. I think the question was, you indicated that there'll be no motorized equipment on Saturdays with the exception of the dust machine, that's going to tamp down the dust. What are the other things that theoretically could have been used on Saturdays that are motorized that you're saying won't be used? Is that your question?
Yeah.
What's your normal equipment that you use in
the our normal equipment, we use a loader front end loaders, which they do kick up dust when it gets dry, and that's what we're trying to accommodate with, is to control that dust. Does that satisfy your question? Answer.
Equipment? Do you use forklifts? Do you use other?
Well, we have the only heavy equipment that we do use there is the front end loaders. We do have 3 regular vehicles. 2 are pickup trucks. One's a van. Then we have the trailer. The dust control is on top of a trailer. It's basically a big water tank with a pump, and we pull that trailer with one of our trucks. The other equipment that we have there is a power washer, generator. That's about it.
Yeah, Bruce?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a distinction because I believe the question from the audience was vehicle use on Saturdays, and you indicated within that 400-foot buffer you would use no other machinery except the dust suppression.
Correct.
So you intend to use other machinery, such as a front-end loader, in the rest of your property?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, on this side of the room, other questions? Okay.
Maria Janusik, property owner on Camp Lane Road and Manville resident. I'd like to clarify, what does it mean being open to the public versus just dropping off, trucks dropping off cars?
Open to the public would mean that we're accepting payments for vehicles. The general public's allowed to come in. The transporters that our customers hire to pick up their cars would be able to come in if it was open to the public. The not open to the public, meaning that it's our employees and our contractors, which are dropping off the cars, so we can process those cars.
So then can you clarify again what hours you're open to the public?
We're proposing to be open to the public Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 8 to 5.
And then what are the other hours for the drop-offs?
I'm sorry.
That's correct. That's what the application says.
Right, but I wanted to add the point that we're not advertising the Saturday to the public. I'm sorry, what was your question, ma'am?
Oh, I had asked about the hours for the drop-offs.
The hours for drop-offs?
Yeah.
Monday through Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Can I help you with that
Yeah.
response? Okay. So I think she means in addition to the hours that you're open to the public, what additional hours would there be just for drop-offs? And that's the 5 to 11 frame that we've been discussing.
For Saturday?
No, for Monday through Friday, 5 to 11. Is what our
Oh, well, yeah. Our current operating hours right now are after-hours drops, which are 5 o'clock p.m. to 11 o'clock p.m.
We're not
Monday through Friday.
proposing a change. We're proposing
To add Saturday.
right, but not for the evening. Right. So right now we are permitted.
Oh, you're saying that for Saturday, you would not add the 5, you're not proposing the 5 to 11 just for drop-offs? You're just proposing 8 to 5 for full operations?
So currently, the hours that you're saying, that's what was in the original application, or had that been amended?
No, the only thing that's different between the current hours of operation is the addition of Saturday, 8 to 5.
And Sunday.
Well, we're leaving out the state of emergencies. We're talking about regular.
Is that other microphone still, because Kaz is going, is that?
No, we
yeah.
have to share.
I'm really sorry. I'm
Okay.
really sorry. Okay. Should I repeat that?
Yeah.
Okay. The only difference between the current operating hours and what is being proposed, leaving out the state of emergency, is the addition of 8 to 5 on Saturday.
Right, gotcha. Okay.
I wanted to ask some questions regarding the lots and how the trucks come into the lots and then go into the main lot, block 73.01, lot 1, and then head over to block 71, lot 1.01. Is there some kind of a visual?
Can we get the board?
Yeah, yes, by all means.
And is there a site plan for both lots?
They were both introduced at the last hearing. They're up there. You can get up, well, you don't have a microphone. Okay.
I'd like to go up there too so I can see up close.
Can I speak loudly?
No, just, yeah, it's because it's for recording purposes and for anyone who's watching at
Right.
home.
Right.
Now, what is this? Is this the site plan?
And you need to speak microphone too.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a site plan that was given to me. No. I'd like to see the site plan for both lots.
That's it.
I received something like that from Mr. Rydell last month, so I'd like to see the site plan for both lots.
Can you identify what those are?
The exhibit on the right, which I'm not too sure what number that is. A1 is a picture of the site plan for our parking area and part of our storage and receiving area along with our building. The site plan picture to the left, which is exhibit A2, thank you. That is a combination of both lots together, including a parking lot, our storage facility, which is the gray square on the right, the big gray square on the left with the green in it, the two shades of green, is our newer lot. That is all storage area. So to answer your question, the cars would enter into the parking lot area, which...
Could you point to the stuff, because it's hard for me to understand that.
Okay. I'll point while you talk.
Okay, thank you. The cars would enter into the parking lot area, and then they would go through into the staging.
This is block 73?
Can't.
This is block 73?
It's hard to do, but I would ask this. What is, this doesn't appear to be related in any way to this application, which has to do with the expansion of hours of operation and limitations on the numbers of truck. You're talking about something else. Could you just state what your purpose is in bringing this up? Because the site plans are well-known and documented. So what is your purpose in bringing this
Okay,
up?
well, they're saying that they're going to be bringing in case of an emergency or in regular operations, you have trucks coming in, bringing in vehicles. So I'd like to see how that process looks, and especially bringing the vehicles to Block 71, Lot 1.01.
How about just describing, you mean left side, up, down, right side?
So,
Right or left?
Yeah, cars would flow in from the entrance here, where we're currently operating.
Because these
Cars would come into where he's pointing at the entrance there, and they would get processed in there. They would get stored in, and if they needed to go to the lot on the left, then that's where we would put it.
Are you crossing over anybody else's property, or these lots? These are adjoining lots.
These are adjoined.
It's difficult to see this.
well, it's there. So was your question whether their lots were connected? The answer is they are. It's a narrow connection, but they are connected.
So Block 73.01, Lot 1 is connected directly to Block 71, Lot 1.01.
The right side's connected to the left side.
Can we have the witness testify?
Correct.
The right side is connected to the left side, at what point?
The point, if that was north, then right there where Mr. Liebling is pointing.
Well, that appears to be part of Block 65, Lot 21. Is that Block 65, Lot 21?
I'm unaware.
Yes.
No, it's not.
Well, that's this pie shaped right here, right?
There may be old numbers on a tax map. Those are both owned by this Copart within those two lot numbers.
Block 65, Lot 21 is a separate lot. That property is shown on the adjacent property record card. That's an individual lot, and it's shown here as R, which would be residential. Is that the one that you're crossing over?
No.
No. So what are you crossing? What is that? Is that part of Block 73.01, Lot 1?
There's a point at which they touch, and you're in 7301 until you get to that point, and then you cross into 71.101.
But where are they touching? I'm looking at this, which is from the site plan, and that's what it's showing here.
The site plan is.
Yeah, Mr. Rydell, yes?
Yes. I'll ask the question of the applicant. Do you own all of the lots shown in gray or hatched on Exhibit A2?
Yes.
And have you read the staff report suggesting to the board that there be a requirement that all these lots be merged under the Lochner Doctrine?
Yes.
And do you acknowledge that you will do that?
Yes.
Thank you.
So these lots are not merged yet?
You can't ask the staff. You have to ask the applicant.
I'm asking the
No,
applicant.
no.
These lots are not merged yet?
No.
So then how can the trucks cross from Block 73.01, Lot 1, to Block
They have the same
71,
owner.
Lot .101?
They have the same owner.
That's okay, but these are different, especially Block 65, Lot 21, that's shown here as a residential lot.
It's not part of that. It's not part of what you see in gray.
It's here. Yes, it is.
The board only goes on what's evidence, and the evidence up there
I have
shows two lots which are touching. So what do you have here now?
I have an aerial view from 2007 showing what's covered by vehicles. And it appears to be more than just Block 73.01, Lot 1. And also Block 65, Lot 21, which is zoned residential here in this pie area, is covered with vehicles.
I think we're going to have to get the witness sworn in.
Yep. Now you're testifying to a picture which we don't know where it comes from or what its provenance is. Therefore, you're going to have to be sworn in and you're going to have to testify as to the provenance of that picture.
Oh,
Previously,
me?
you picked up a document that they had, whatever, but now you're introducing one of your own. So now you have to be sworn in if you're going to introduce a document of your own.
Yes.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Oh, you do? Yes, I do.
Counselor, you may want to question.
I don't yet.
Okay.
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Ma'am, can you indicate what the why don't we have them marked?
Yes, let's have, what are you submitting for evidence here?
This is a
Ju- ju-
2000,
Get it marked.
This is a document. Which documents do you want the board to consider?
I'm saying this is a 2007
I don't
aerial
know.
view.
I'm not looking for you to describe what it is. I just want to know what documents you want the board to mark. Is that the document in your right hand, and the one in your left?
Two of them, yes.
Why don't you have the stenographer mark them? Why don't we mark them? 1 and 2. You'll have to bring them up to her to have them marked.
How are we going to know which one's
So
01 and which one's
Are
02?
you arguing site plan? We're not here for site plan. Is this site plan? What's
it's-
this have to
it's-
do with the hours? We're here for the hours.
She's alleging illegal parking of cars.
So why couldn't this
On
be
other
done
people's
with a
property.
private?
Complaint with the zoning officer then.
Yeah, a complaint to the zoning office. This is not the point. We're here for the hours.
Yes,
From
we are.
2007
I was here
also.
last month, we were discussing how vehicles are brought in, we discussed dust, that's all a continuation of last month's meeting.
So now we're
And I'm
talking about
asking-
site
and-
plan?
And I am asking how they bring vehicles from the
All right,
main lot
in that
onto the
part,
back
you're
lot.
way off base, and we're past that. However, we're now on a part where you're presenting a document and you're making a claim. So why don't you proceed with that part?
With this part?
Yeah, that's right.
Give her back the documents.
Give her back the documents, and then she can say where you got them from and what you claim they show. Yes, they're now part of the record of this hearing. So where did you get them from?
Is that 01?
This I had gotten from Mr. Coyce.
Just indicate what the number letter is. Oh, what? 1? 2.
Oh, two.
So
Oh, so
O2,
I
you
had
say, you maintain that you got from Mr. Coyce in the Planning and Zoning Office?
Yes.
And you maintain that it's what? An aerial?
2007 aerial view of the properties that are covered by Copart.
Okay.
My property is there.
Well, okay, granted, surrounding properties. So
Surrounding
what
properties.
point are you making from there?
I was asking how the vehicles get from the one, how they get from Block 73.01, Lot 1, to Block 71, Lot 1.01.
And I believe, ma'am, that the applicant's witness described how that occurred and that the lots are connected.
And then I said that the lot that connects them is shown as Block 65, Lot 21, and that it's zoned residential.
Where is it shown that?
Where is it shown?
Mm-hmm.
It's a separate piece of
You
it.
can have this also. This is a part
Why don't we,
of,
why don't
Wait
we
a
mark, why don't we
mark
mark
it.
this as 03?
I think it's the photocopy.
Well, why don't we get, before you, everybody wants to, I know everybody wants to finish this
Well,
application.
yes.
I think we need, for the record, ma'am, 03 represents what? That's 03.
03 shows Block 65,
Wait,
Lot
no.
21
What
is zoned
is it?
residential.
What is it?
What's the basis of that document? Where does it come from? Where did you get it? And what does it signify?
I had received the big site plan for Block 73.01.
Maybe you can let our
Lot
engineer
1.
have a look at,
And
okay.
that is from the lower, I believe, right-hand corner.
It's a copy that came out in the upper right corner of the sheet.
Okay,
And this shows Block 65, Lot 31 is zoned residential.
okay.
Eric,
Now-
I think I can shed some light.
Go ahead.
Well, ma'am, is there anything else you want to introduce to the board relative to this lot designation issue? Anything else you want to tell the board, provide to the board relative to your claim, relative to the residential lot?
To the lot, no. To this
Okay.
particular lot, no.
If you give those documents to the stenographer so that we can have them for the record, and I think, Mr. Liebling, you wanted to indicate on
Yes.
behalf of your client some explanation.
Yes.
Go ahead.
We submitted a signed and sealed site plan, which was reviewed by the board engineer. No issue was raised regarding the question raised by the,
Member of the public.
thank you, by the member of the public.
Property owner.
Okay. The tax map, which she's referring to, does not reflect the existing lot lines, and we can see if there's a more current one. Tax maps are not updated with the same speed of which subdivisions occur and lots are purchased and sold. We can do that on the revised site plan if this application is approved, so that it properly reflects the zoning and removes the doubt that the member of the public has raised.
What is the doubt?
That the tax map that you see imposed in the upper right corner there of A1 doesn't show the way that the lots actually exist today.
In A2.
In A2.
So,
And that's relevant to the hours?
No, it's not.
so, ma'am, I guess the point is, what's
We
your,
wasted 15 minutes on...
ma'am, what's your
I'm sorry,
point?
I'm sorry. I'm a property owner on Camplain Road. This business affects my property. And for someone to say I'm wasting someone's time when I've sat here and listened, I think is very disrespectful, because I haven't said anything to anyone. And to mumble and say that is very disrespectful.
I didn't
because
mumble it. I said it to the public.
I am a property
here
owner,
doing the hours,
and
ma'am.
I have a right. And this is Hillsborough.
This is
and
something that you
Hillsborough-
should
and
have
this is
brought to our
Hillsborough,
zoning
and this
officer
is
as
Hills-
not
This is
compliant.
Hillsborough. No, I'm talking and.
Excuse me,
Stop.
excuse me. You don't have an absolute right to say whatever you want for however long you like. Nobody does.
Exactly,
Okay?
exactly. But,
Now,
and I've respected.
I let you present what you wanted. Now, this is a public hearing on a specific matter. That's what it is under the law. And the specific matter is that they want to extend their hours of operation and also put some conditions on what happens during these hours of operation. The matter before us here has nothing to do with the site plan or with the status of the property. That's not in question, nor is that have to do with this hearing. So what you're bringing up is not properly a part of this hearing. Now, I'll let you present it, that's fine. And if you want to talk to our planning and zoning office about it, you may. But the fact is that it's not a part of this proceeding. And you may not be aware, although you think you are, of what the actual status of the property is. So you made your point. You think that this is in question. Okay, that's been entered into the hearing, even though it's not a part of it. But you can't go on and on about it indefinitely. Now, do you have any other points that you want to make?
Yes.
Okay,
Now-
then move on to
now-
another one.
Now, I'm sorry, but I'm being told that it's only related to the hours of operation. The notice I received says that seeking to amend previous site plan approvals, mitigate effects of modifications, hours of operation, including but not limited to revisions, business practice, limitations on evening activity, new
Yeah, I
signage,
mentioned
term
that.
restrictions, et cetera,
I mentioned about
et cetera,
restrictions, yes.
So,
That is correct.
So,
This type of proceeding is called a site plan approval or amending a previous site plan approval. But we're not here to discuss the nature of the site plan. We're here to discuss the hours of operation and, yes, the conditions of operation. Do you have any questions about those?
I'm sorry.
Do you have any questions about their request, which is the subject of this hearing, which is their request for an increased amount of hours of operation and limitations that they would place on the types of things that happen during those hours of operation? That's what this hearing is about. Do you have any questions about that?
I would like to ask when I earlier had said that I had questions about Copart, you said there would be an opportunity to ask
Yes,
other
there is,
questions
so I'm
also.
asking you. Do you have questions about what is germane to this hearing? I'm just asking, curious. Do you have any?
Yeah, I'd like to know, I'd like to know when the trucks come after hours, which way are they going?
When you say after hours, you mean in the 5 to 11 p.m. time when it's
That's what I was
just
told,
drop-offs?
after hours is 5
Yeah,
to 11,
okay.
yes. Where, into what entrance do these trucks go?
You need a microphone.
Well, let the witness actually, witness means. Go ahead, describe it, and then the counselor will point.
Okay, so from Exhibit A1, the trucks enter in that area there, which is basically the farthest gate from, I believe, your residence. And they used to come in from the other gate there, but since we got a new parking lot, I don't want them messing it up right away. So now they just all come in from that gate there.
So they go in that way and come out that way?
Yes,
And what street is that?
that's Camp Plain.
And so what is the address of Copart?
2124 West Camp Plain Road.
Now, how is it West Champlain when that's Hillsborough?
Not germane, ma'am.
Not too sure why.
How about this? Can you describe how the drop-off between 5 and 11 is any different than the way the business operates during the day? Let's get to the specifics of as in relationship to the residents, to whatever's going on with your operation. Is there a difference, or is it the same procedure?
The only difference between the after-hours drop-off and the daytime drop-off is that the trucks don't go in completely inside the facility, which is the secondary gate.
Right.
They only stay in the parking lot / bullpen area and drop the cars
Yes,
out there.
which you testified to
Sorry,
previously.
could you please
Yes.
point that out again? Where is that? When they first go in, where is it? Relation on here, so I can see the number of the block. There. Okay. And that's block 73.01 over there, and this is coming in. I can't hear you, ma'am.
And there has to be a question.
Is that entrance directly onto block 73.01, lot 1?
I believe so.
Counsel is nodding yes. He's standing by the map, so he could see it.
Yes.
Trucks are entering directly off of Camp Plain Road onto block 73.01, lot 1. Yeah, that's a yes.
Yes.
On the site map, I don't have my copy now. It looks different. I don't have the lot and block numbers, but it looks different.
He answered the question. What
Well,
else
I-
you want- what
may
do
I
you
see-
do?
may I see the map?
He answered the question. What else do you want him to do? That's his answer.
So his answer is,
That's his answer. He answered your question.
may I
Next
see
question.
that
Next
map?
question.
May I
Next
see that map?
question. question, please.
The issue is you have to deal with the
Okay, all
items
right.
that are in evidence. So if you have a question about
Please,
the
he
site
answered the
plan in
question.
evidence, then ask that question.
Yeah, I'd like to know.
You've been told
I would-
repeatedly that what you have is a tax map, not a site plan. Now, so, okay, that's a site plan, but that thing that you entered in was a tax map. Now, there's a site plan, go ahead, if that's what that
Mr.
is.
Cohen,
No, the point is that this questioner is looking for some technicality by which she can claim that Copart's operation is somehow illegal. Well, I'm just saying, that's what's going on here.
So wouldn't the proper method be to
Well,
approach the,
because there are a lot of,
Well, there's,
discrepancies and ambiguities, and also the description of the location of Block 71, Lot 1.01 is false. It's stated it's on
now
Sunny,
remember that
Sunnymead Road.
you're under oath.
Yes, I
and
am.
you just made a pretty bold statement
did.
that something, so I'm not going to ask you to prove it because you can't.
I will
So-
submit my things
But that's
here.
on the record. Now, do you have anything else? So now we've got that question. Anything else? Because you have used up more time than a citizen would reasonably be given here. We've been very patient. So is there a different issue, or you presented all your issues?
I would like to know how many vehicles can Lot 71, Block 1.01 accommodate?
This was all testified to at the last hearing.
That was testified to, so that's asked and answered already.
if you can answer it, let him
But go ahead, answer it again if you have it there. The applicant doesn't want to give an inaccurate second answer to the same question.
First, we had this for the two lots.
I don't know what lot she's talking about now. Is it the left one?
The left one.
Block 71,
Secondary.
Lot 1.01, also known as Lot 1 and 14.
All right, so to answer the question, we don't typically segregate the two lots as far as keeping inventory, as far as the lot on the left holds this many cars and the lot on the right holds this many cars. We know only a combined total, but the usable storage area are relatively the same, so I can estimate that each side, the lot on the left, the lot on the right, holds around 1,700 cars.
Okay.
And that is utilizing all of the space, all of, on that lot? Block 71, Lot 1.01?
There's 1,700 cars on the left. There's around 1,700 cars on the right.
Are you utilizing all of the space on that lot? On
Just
that
the
block
gray
lot?
area.
Is it just the gray area that you utilize?
Just the gray area as illustrated in
Those maps.
A2.
Mhm.
The green area is a designated wetlands area, which is protected, and the oval-shaped dome on top looks like that is our retention pond to mitigate any drain runoff.
Mm-hmm.
So no, that's not all used, about half.
Well, I have a question for Attorney Bernstein.
I don't answer questions.
No.
No? Okay, then maybe someone can answer. There are wetlands on that property, and Hillsborough has an ordinance that forbids the open storage of vehicles on property that has wetlands, to my understanding.
Are you, well, here, as the chairman indicated to you before, and I'll repeat, you're under oath. Are you testifying that the applicant is storing vehicles in designated wetland areas? And if so, what's your proof?
I'm stating that there are wetlands on Block 71, Lot
No,
1.01.
And the applicant has testified to that. What you appear to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's your contention, I believe, that they are storing vehicles in the wetlands area. Is that what your testimony is?
No, I didn't say that.
Then what is the purpose of designating what the applicant has already acknowledged and the site plan already shows that there are wetlands areas on a portion of one of the lots of their business?
because some of those vehicles leak oil and other fluids which can contaminate the ground and go into the wetlands.
I know you're going to object. Last item, relative to that, what's the proof that any of this, A, is relevant to the application, and B, that it is occurring?
That there are vehicles on that
What's
property?
your proof? What's your proof? If you can answer the question, ma'am, I really would appreciate it. What's your proof that it's occurring, and what's your proof that it has anything to do with this application?
Let me give you some pictures.
Okay, at this point, your patience is admirable, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Chairman. Mine has run out. This has nothing to do with our application. This is not a court of law. This is, if she should be at the DEP if we're violating it. She should be complaining to the zoning officer. This is not an enforcement body. If we are spilling hundreds of gallons of oil into the wetlands each day, this is the wrong place.
Counselor, can I put into this now? You all right with that? You
I don't
satisfied?
have a problem. I want to know what the proof was. She indicates she got pictures without any proof of
Even
any-
if she has pictures.
And even if the pictures have no
irrelevant.
are no
Have no
relevancy.
provenance, right. Okay, your time is done.
I would like
You
to
can-
submit the pictures.
No, you could submit them.
I was asked by
you
the
can-
attorney,
you
and I
can-
submitted
Well,
them.
he asked if you had proof. You say
And I said
you
yes,
say
and
that
I'm
you do.
submitting them.
However, the problem is, on an evidence basis, is that even the photographs have to have a provenance and all of that. And quite frankly, it is beyond the scope of this hearing to go through that. If you have complaints, you need to go to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, give them your evidence, lodge your complaints,
Order the
and then they'll investigate them. But right now, you're done because you've used up more time, quite more time than is appropriate for any one citizen when then there are other citizens who wish to speak. So you can sit down now. Yes, sir.
It's to my understanding that that
You can
property
sit
had
down
been
now.
on the super
That's-
fund of the EPA.
That means you're done, whatever. But you can take that up with the DEP. That's the federal agency. We were recommending the state one, but go ahead.
I live in Manville, 21st Avenue. I show you the picture. Last time-
Your name?
My name is Jen Rezutek, Rzeszdek. I show you, because last time I show you on this tab, this
Computer.
the laptop. And
Mhm.
today I making this picture, how looks the dust, because this man talk that is not dust. I show you. This is his picture is making this month.
So this has to do with the operation and the amount of dust that it generates? Mhm.
Can you indicate to the board what the basis of the picture is, when it was taken, and what does it show?
Sir, that means, yeah.
Yeah.
In the microphone.
Yeah, use the microphone.
Explain what the pictures are.
In the microphone, sir.
I live close to the wall. I making the picture because the truck is, the forklift is taking the car and drive.
All right.
And
Wait,
show
wait.
this picture. I see.
No,
how
no, no,
much
no, no, no,
dust.
no, I understand. You took the picture. You're saying you took the picture. When did you take the pictures?
November 4, 2014.
Okay, could you give me a time of day? Well, roughly speaking. What time of day was it? Morning, noon,
Oh,
afternoon?
this one is about the afternoon.
Afternoon. Okay. All right, that gives us a time and a place, and you took them, and, all
I
right.
can leave this.
Okay.
And because company working 7 days a week,
Mhm.
is international company. First of all, if you asking working the Saturday, they make it prepare the surface for this one. It's no dust. How I can live this one is view. You want to live this place, have the neighbor like this one. You see how is this one? Looks like the desert. This one is my problem for this one. This one is only just so, because I have to watch. I can spend the Saturday, if you working the Saturday, I can spend in this day. During the week, I working because I have under the retirement. I wanna tell you something, how you can live this one. Everybody, not me, all neighbor.
Do they have to be
Because you see,
labeled for us
the
to look
dust,
at it?
usually the wind is from the west. And the dust is go up and the wind blow for the property.
Okay.
And
Now-
I want to spend, sorry.
No, wait,
Gotta ask
just
a
to make this
question.
official. No, just make it official. Should he be sworn in, testify, and enter those pictures as evidence? This is about operation now.
Yeah.
Okay, could you please be sworn in, and then we'll mark your photographs as evidence, okay? And then you can testify whatever it is you want to say now about when the dust is there and all of that, okay? Please be sworn in.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth?
Raise your right hand.
Do you swear to tell the truth to the best of your abilities, so help you God? Just say yes.
Yes. It's true.
No,
This is
okay.
true.
You're going to tell the truth, okay.
So we're
So,
marking the photos 04 for purposes of the record. The individual has indicated that the pictures were taken sometime this month
Yes, this-
during the afternoon, depicting what appears to be dust coming from the applicant's facility. Is that it? And the applicant has seen the pictures. What else do you want to tell the board,
well,
sir?
1 second. Did you say 2013, November 2013, or was it this month?
This month.
This month, okay, so a few days ago.
I have the picture last month on this for my record.
Right,
Only
I'm
just
sorry, I
to-
wasn't here that meeting.
just to today, this week, because I have the making the picture.
Okay, just making that clear, so it was this month, okay? Thank you.
And everything is you can see, you can come to here inspection and so how it looks. This.
And you're, okay, and to be clear,
This is true.
okay, so to be clear, your testimony is this is the dust you saw coming off of their property at that time on that day? And you took, and that's what you photographed? Okay, thank you.
Okay, who's next?
Yes, anybody else on this side who hasn't spoken? Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, yeah, you raise your hand. Here you go.
Hi, Jane again. I have a.
Yeah.
Sorry? My name, Jane Schmeling. I have a question specific to the buffer zone that's provided in the holding area. What is the buffer zone? Square feet? The buffer zone itself, what buffer does it offer the folks that are, say, on Camplain Road to the south of your property? No, I'm sorry, excuse me. The 5 to 11 when they drop the vehicles off, what is the buffer zone? The area for the buffer zone? The bullpen, thank you. Okay, what is the buffer area? Where is Camplain Road juxtaposed? Okay, so there's not really very much of a buffer there, is there? Feet, whatever? Is it close to neighboring? Because it seems to me that the whole thing hinges upon the neighbors that live either on the 21st Avenue from the pictures that you've just seen or the buffer zone that's provided in that area. So my question to COPAR is, has there ever been given any consideration as to a different entrance exit that would circumvent all those problems? Can't you enter the property another way, say from Old Camplain? And I don't understand how a corporate entity would not want to, because you are nationwide. I checked the website and all the little dots that you have across the national map. Why wouldn't you want to operate 24/7? It would seem to me that you would want to have that option away from the residential properties, because what we actually have here is we have an old Vinnie's Auto Salvage, and Sean Lapini can testify to this because he's a small business owner in Hillsborough Township, as is Sam Connard, obviously a farmer, that they're just residential. This is a nationwide operation. And what they are is they're juxtaposed and actually set down right in the smack dab center of like a residential area. So wouldn't it be more prudent to address the residential area just by changing the entrance exit? Let's say, for example, from Camplain Road. I know because I boarded that property.
Ma'am,
What?
is there a question or you testifying?
Yeah, okay. No, not testifying.
Then I
My
suggest
question
you ask
is,
the question.
have you considered another entrance exit that circumvents the problem of like really annoying the neighbors? Yes or no?
Yes, we've considered it.
Okay.
But if we move it to Old Camp Plain, there's residential areas over there as well. So
No, there's no residential. That's all business up and down that road. Trust me.
There's 3
I know.
houses over there.
Yeah, mine and someone else's, and the guy just died. 2 residents. Okay. And my other question is, why would you not operate 24/7, and wouldn't you want to have access on one of those parameters close by in the case of state of emergency? To really, I mean, keep an eye on your, I mean, it's your property. I really don't care. I mean, but I don't know. Does that make sense? Wouldn't that for Committeeman Delacour, for example, you know, raising the question of trucks in and out from 5 to 11. I mean, wouldn't it make more sense if they had a different entrance and exit? All you'd have to do was flip the parking lot.
Well,
or the back lot, for that matter.
To answer your question about 24/7, believe it or not, this company was founded on family principles, and family is important to Copart, and they want folks to be with their families on the weekends. So I do not see that. I don't see that happening any time in the future or ever.
Well, I can understand wanting to be with your families on the weekends, but what about the people that are dropping off the trucks? Contingent to your business, because that is a part of the operation, unless I misunderstood something there. Yes, no?
It would be.
No comment?
I've operated.
I don't think he needs to answer these questions.
Okay, all right.
Especially since it's not before the board.
Well, yeah, changing the entrance is not in this application.
Nor
before the board.
nor hours beyond the applicant's.
No, nor are 24/7, although at least that is a question about the hours of operation, but.
It seems to me that the whole flavor is in the intent that it's very disturbing to Camp Plain Road residents and 21st Avenue Manville residents because it's a residential situation. And that never meshes after hours. If they stopped at 5, it would be great, but it doesn't seem like they're going to do that. And that's really all I have to say.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you. No, fair enough. Anybody else on this side? No? This side? Sir, the glasses? Then I'll get this person back with the red shirt.
Hi, good evening. Mike Sopko, Camp Plain Road, directly across the street from Coparts. Now, earlier, Mr. Hopkins, you testified that there was no deliveries after 11 p.m. Monday through Friday, and absolutely no deliveries Saturday and Sunday. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Are you aware that there are still deliveries after those hours?
I am aware that there was a vehicle dropped off on Saturday of last week, and that person is being reprimanded for that.
Okay.
And it was at, it was at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. during the day.
Okay. I would like you to be aware there are.
Now, wait, just before you start,
I'm sorry.
is this the testimony?
Raise your right hand.
Yeah, this is,
I'm sorry.
no, if you,
I know you
can.
testified at the last one. My suggestion is to make sure, raise your right hand, be sworn in. Give
And
your
now
testimony.
give your
I
te- and then
know-
give your
I
testimony.
know you want to give.
Right.
Yes, I do.
Now, Mr. Sopko, tell us what the board, about what is going on after hours.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, there are deliveries up until 11 o'clock. They pull in the lot at 1 minute of 11, and they can be there for up to an hour and a half. There are also other deliveries being made between the hours of 11 p.m. and 8 a.m., waking me up in the middle of the night. Are you aware of that, Mr. Hopkins?
I'm not aware of that.
There are also deliveries on Saturdays and Sundays, morning, noon, night, and everywhere in between. Previously, you testified that if a tow truck wrecker type vehicle showed up before hours and parked in front of your facility, you would turn them away. How many have you turned away in the past month since we've been here?
That is part of the site plan approval that we're submitting today and has not been approved yet.
Okay.
I can't turn away anybody that hasn't been properly notified.
As far as the video that you take every day, 24/7, how often do you review it to notice when these cars and trucks are being delivered?
When there's a suspicion that there's extra cars being delivered.
So it's not a everyday routine thing you do?
It's mostly on Fridays and Mondays. So no, it's not every day.
When the deliveries do happen between 5 and 11 p.m. at night, where do the tow truck operators park their vehicles while they are trying to enter your facility?
Can you repeat the question?
During the hours of 5 and 11 p.m., Monday through Friday, where do the tow truck operators park their vehicles to get into your facility?
On Camplain Road.
So they're blocking Camplain Road.
I can't testify to that 'cause I don't know.
There are no breakdown lanes on Camplain Road. Between the white line and my property, there is less than a foot. Where do they park without blocking traffic? And do you know how long it takes for them to open your gate? Does everybody have the combination to your combination lock?
Everybody that's on the payroll should.
Okay, because I have noticed operators that have been sitting in the road for a half an hour trying to get the phone number of somebody so they can get this combination to get into your property.
It's most likely because they're idiots.
I agree. That's why they went over my lawn.
Now, that's the truth.
Now, we have spoken about the drivers that come in and out, and, you know, we are under, you know, agreement that something needs to be done. Is there a proposal that, you know, once we figure out who's doing this, they get reprimanded in some way? Do they get fined? Do they never allowed to come back again?
Are you speaking to the, are you asking me how I discipline my subcontractors?
Yes.
Ultimately, it would lead to termination of their contract if their behavior continues.
Okay, so the first time is fine, and every time after that is no good?
We control their paycheck, so we can withhold that until cooperation is made. We've done that on numerous occasions with our subcontractors. It seems to be very effective with them.
Okay. During Superstorm Sandy, how many weeks were you open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
Quite a few.
More than 3 weeks sound familiar?
More than 3 weeks, yeah. I would say probably 4 weeks.
4 weeks of no sleep. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, can I follow up on Mr. Sopko, a question from Mr. Sopko? For purposes of the record, Mr. Hopkins, is your facility located between Route 206 and the Hillsborough-Manville corporate line on Camplain Road?
The boundary, he means, between the two towns.
206 is north of us.
Camplain Road runs from 206, does it not?
Yeah, yes, Champlain connects to 206, yeah.
Right, so your property is between 206 and the Hillsborough-Manville line, is it not?
Yes.
Are you aware of the fact that it's against the ordinances of this township for any parking to go on Champlain Road? For any vehicle? I'm assuming the silence is no.
Do you know it's illegal to park on Champlain Road?
I did not know that, no.
Just for the purpose of the record, so people know that I'm not playing with my cell phone in the middle of an application. Section 143. I have to find the note. Section 143:30 of the Township Code indicates that there is no parking. No person shall park a vehicle at any time upon any of the following described streets or parts of streets. And the description for Champlain Road is from U.S. Route 206 to the Hillsborough-Manville corporate line. So, in case you weren't aware of it, you're now on record as aware of it. There is no parking allowed on Champlain Road, either side. Mr. Liebling, I assume you will advise your client accordingly.
Sir? I'm sorry, I have one other question. For you. You put in a testimony earlier today that Klein's Scrap Metals is open on Saturdays from, I believe it's 7 to 3?
7 to 3.
Yes.
To the public, 7 to 3.
Thank you. What about the
operation 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.?
Thank you. What about the operation on the other side of Coparts, Walker Automotive? What are their Saturday hours? They don't have any. So one business does, one business doesn't. You only bring in the one that helps you. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Board.
Okay. Dr. Marulli?
Yeah, this brings us back to where we finished at the end of the last meeting was with regard to the logging of vehicles that come in. And you had said that all the vehicles are logged in, and you were asked, I believe you stated that you were unaware, as you just said again, that vehicles were coming in after hours. But yet you had said that all these vehicles are logged in. So how do you reconcile, because I don't think you answered that last time, how do you reconcile that these vehicles are logged in, but you weren't aware that they came in after hours?
Well,
I guess the question is, are they logged in? Are all the vehicles logged in?
yeah, all the
Okay.
vehicles that come in after hours are logged
Right.
in.
Then
They're logged in as arriving in the morning on Monday. We can have, I'm sorry, all the cars are logged in from the previous night drop. So on a Monday, the cars that are dropped off Monday night are calculated on a Tuesday morning.
right, so they're in the bullpen, right?
They're in the morning, yep.
And however many cars are there, so is the assumption made that they were dropped off within the 5 to 11 hours?
The assumption is made, yes.
Why would that assumption be made? This leads back to the whole issue of how do we know what's coming and what's going, which goes back to this is what I alluded to earlier, that I had this question, 3 times
Right,
already.
and the assumption is made is because the communication to our contractors has been made, and there is if a pattern of behavior is satisfied, then the assumption is made that it's working.
But shouldn't the assumption be made at least for a period of time that it's not working and prove it otherwise?
I'm sorry?
Yeah,
It's like
shouldn't
one of
the burden is on you to prove that it is working,
Right.
not to assume that it's working.
That's
And-
what I'm saying. I'm saying the pattern of behavior, it is working. With this testimony, obviously, there's a few hiccups there. But it is working. You establish that it does work, right? And then you assess from that, you make the assumption based off of that, that it is working after you.
But to satisfy what we've asked you previously, okay, and I personally asked going from 2 meetings ago, was to satisfy us that what Mr. Sapko mentioned is or is not true, and what evidence is there, okay, not assume that the rules are being followed, but to look into it and to find out. And certainly even in the last month to check that. So, you know, you keep your video for 2 weeks, and you say you review it on a Friday and a Monday, and this is in question, and this is a very important part of the application. So where's the evidence that you've looked at the videotape and have satisfied the neighbor across the street from you that you are following what you say you're going to follow? I've asked this the 3rd time that I've asked that.
Well, I think I've given you an answer. Maybe it's not the answer you want to hear, but it's an answer that we have. We're trying to make accommodations to not only help our business, because we are a growing business, and we want the ability to be flexible when our business does grow. And I think with that, we are taking on restrictions upon ourselves to mitigate some of the issues that we have done, or our business has done, just being in existence. And I think we're trying to be as reasonable as we can without cutting ourselves at the knees and saying we can't grow any further as a business because here's our restrictions.
And I'm not questioning that. It's the same issue that's been brought up. This is the 3rd time, okay? And it's reasonable for him to ask that, and ask it now the 3rd time. Are you aware of it? And each time you say, no, I'm not aware of it. But yet, when we're asking you, how do you monitor the trips? How do you monitor who comes in when? You say, oh, we have it. We have logs and we have videos. So how have you applied your logs and your videos to reassure your neighbor that this isn't happening? And I'm not talking about restricting your hours. It's simple. It's just, what have you done to reassure him that you are aware of the problem? Because if you're not even aware of it, which you just testified to, that you're not aware of it, then how can you monitor it?
Well, correction, I did testify that I was aware that there was a drop-off on a Saturday this last
Well,
Saturday.
initially you said you weren't aware of anything, and then the next thing you said, if I'm correct, was that, yes, I'm aware of one. But we've heard him before. He said there have been others multiple times. Sundays, after 11, between 11 and 8 o'clock in the morning, he said that. Not, you know, so why not come back and say, we've looked into this, and, you know. Sorry, I'm just very frustrated because this is the 3rd time I've asked you the same thing.
Can I maybe interpret a little bit for
Sure.
Okay.
You mean testify?
No, talk to him.
I know better. Not for this board. So it sounds like, as of yet, you don't routinely review videos and logs. Well, the logs don't help. You don't routinely review videos to see if somebody showed up at 1 o'clock in the morning.
That's a good point. Hold on. When we first had this first meeting, almost, 2 years now? It's been 2 years? Or maybe a year and a half. And then we reconvened because, or we delayed it because we wanted to join the 2 properties together. It made more sense. That was initially our proposal, was to monitor this. We haven't got the approval yet. with what we require.
I think you're missing the point.
Yeah,
You don't need our approval to set up videos and look at them
Here's the
yourselves.
issue. You've indicated, with all due respect,
But
you've
we're doing it
indicated,
voluntarily.
you're not following the point. You've indicated that you don't have deliveries after 11 or on Saturdays or Sundays. And you've got someone telling you for the third time now that I see it all the time, you have it. You've told us you have the ability to track when trucks come in. And so you could easily say, yes, they're coming in, or no, they're not. You understand?
Right. I do not deny the fact that there is probably cars coming in based off his testimony and based off of knowing the type of people that that are our drivers. I know some of them like to push the issue. Now, I'm not denying that. I'm not saying our system's going to be perfect. I'm not saying that it's going to be a system where, you know, we have it narrowed down to the umpteenth number. All I'm saying is that we're trying to make our neighbors' lives a little more easier, a little more comfortable. And I would say that I'm probably the first person that's ever gone over to him and addressed some of his issues that he's had, even actually talked to him. And I guarantee he will attest to that. And I'm trying, as a company, to make our presence better. And I don't know how to...
I don't think we're disputing that. The point being is you have the mechanisms to ensure when trucks are coming in and to be able to validate that. And if the problem continues, obviously it's something that has to be addressed further. So you're looking to put time restrictions in place, and we appreciate that. And I'm sure the residents appreciate that. But the point is, you have the restrictions there, and you have the ability to monitor, and it seems that you're not doing it.
I mean, Mr. Hopkins, the current approval is no deliveries after 11, no deliveries between 11 p.m. on Friday and 8 a.m. on Monday. What monitoring procedures do you need to comply with not one but two planning board resolutions that granted your company the right to operate this facility? Without any of the requests, you agreed, your company agreed, in two separate applications not to take deliveries after 11 o'clock at night and on the weekends. What monitoring procedures do you need to comply with an already existing requirement? Whether this gentleman came up here or not. You don't need your requirement, the requirement the board granted in giving this approval to allow you to operate now is that there shall be no deliveries after 11, there shall be no deliveries on Saturday, there shall be no deliveries on Sunday. What you're telling the board is you're in violation of the board resolutions. Now, forget the amended application, you're in violation of it now. Why should the board consider granting any requirements when you can't comply with the requirements you're under?
Maybe this is something after 5 p.m., you know, in that 5 to 11 p.m. period, do you have any employees on the site?
After 5 p.m.?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who?
Managers, maybe some customer service reps wrapping things up in the office.
But they don't sit until 11 o'clock.
No.
When do they leave?
You know, it varies. Typically, you know, we want everybody to be out by 5, but, you know, I might be there till 6, or another manager might be there till 6:30.
So why isn't there a person designated to a 3 to 11 shift to monitor this?
It doesn't seem like a reasonable
It doesn't.
On our end.
They've got the capabilities already.
Okay. If you were open on Saturdays, you would have employees there from 8 to 5?
Correct.
Well,
in a state of emergency, I'm sure they would be there for all hours, right?
Right. if there was work to do. Without having either a rigorous system of video surveillance and regular, as in daily checking of that surveillance, or having an employee to control the gate, or having a situation where your gate is locked from 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. with no recourse to anyone so that no one could get in unless they broke down the gate, there isn't any assurance, apparently, that you can give us that any restriction we agreed to here with this application would be meaningful. So my question is, are any of these possibilities, whether it be a person at certain hours or a rigorous and auditable video surveillance program, be something that the company is going to agree to institute so that your current restrictions and any future ones are actually meaningful? Oh, and also including a truly secured gate between 11 p.m. and 8 a.m. and not a gate that's opened if, you know, the guy finds an employee to give him a combination.
I've been sued 50 times.
There's a gentleman in the back both.
No, I know, but I just asked the question.
I think this is assuming that we will not complete this application this evening, I think that's something we'd like to take back and address.
Okay.
I think that's a very important question.
Okay. Now, I know, sir, you wanted to ask a question, so come on up before 10:30 before we're done here. I just wanted to get that one in while I had it organized.
William Trethaway, 1274 Millstone River Road, here in Hillsborough. You stated earlier that you have video surveillance and that's your primary method of monitoring the vehicles when they come in the after hours. Is that correct?
Yes, primarily
Okay.
it's video surveillance.
You also said you use logs. What are the nature of those logs?
It lists the item number, which we call the lot number, which catalogs the vehicle, and the row location is identified being out in the bullpen. So later in the life cycle of the inventory, we can tell if whether or not that car was dropped off at night or not.
How's the information get into those logs?
By hand.
Who puts it in, please?
An employee.
An employee? So if there's no employee there, there's no logs made at drop-offs in the night. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so the logs are actually made the next day.
Yes.
Okay. So I got the implication that you meant that day. I'm sorry, I misunderstood your testimony. Is there a date or time established in that log?
No.
Okay, you stated you have a video surveillance system. What kind of lighting do you have?
There's lighting approved all along the parking area, and I believe it's on until
I know it's
10
somewhat
o'clock.
out of your area, but do you have any idea of the number of lumens per square meter or lux that's available from the lighting where the vehicles are?
I think he testified that he could see the trucks, the number of cars.
Well, one second though. Did you say something about infrared, which would be different than what you're
Which is what
asking?
I'm
Did
gonna
you
get to
say?
next.
Did you say something about infrared?
Yeah, there's infrared camera.
Yes, he stated, I believe you stated from the infrared video you can tell the color of the vehicle?
Right.
Infrared is a color
It's not
itself
it's not
outside of the
important.
visible range.
It's not important. We need to be able to count trucks and cars and.
Okay.
Well, I think it speaks to the ability to identify wrongdoers. That the color of the vehicle that is coming in at, say, 1 or 2 in the morning might be a helpful identifier. If you can't read their license plate, which you can't.
It's a fair point. I was
Yeah.
too quick. Got the
Yeah.
trigger there.
Can you read license plates on your, let me strike that, let me go back a different way. Are your cameras set in such a way that you can monitor the identification of the vehicles that are being dropped off and of the vehicle that is driving the vehicle being dropped off, the trucks or other transports?
I can identify the configuration of the truck, the color of the truck, and the shapes of the cars and identify them, what make and model they are based off their shapes. Depends how close they are. If they're close, then I can see, but if they're at the
I'm
further
confused again. You just said you can identify the color, but you also said it's infrared, and the two are inconsistent.
if it's twilight, yes, I can identify the color.
Okay, so sometimes you can identify the color. Can you read license plates, or have you ever attempted to read license plates?
No, they have to be really close. I'd have to say they'd have to be at least 20 feet for me to even read license plate.
Okay, when there's not an employee present, what's the method of access to the, I think you call it the bullpen area, is that correct?
Correct.
How do they get access to that?
There's a combination lock.
And the combination lock is manually entered digits? It's not a remote control, radio controlled or anything?
It's manually entered.
Okay. So they have to get out of their vehicle, open it, and then open the gate, drive through, and then close the gate again?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have an access control system well, let me correct that. Let me go back different. Do you have any sort of intrusion detection system on your facility?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Is your gate system tied in that intrusion control system?
It currently is not.
Okay. So people could open your gate and go in and you would not be aware of that?
I'd rather not speak to that because it goes to the security of our facility.
Okay, that's fair. Do you log, let me go back in. Your gate, the access of your gate, is that part of your intrusion control system? I mean, can it be monitored? So you could have a log of when people come in and out?
The video surveillance is set up on an alarm system that indicates whether there's motion detected, and it records that time lapse.
Okay, so you have VMD, video motion detection, on your video.
Correct.
Okay. Does your video record all the time or only when there's image motion?
It records all the time between the hour. It records all the time sometime, and other times it records only in motion. I'm being very vague because, again, I don't want to speak to the security of our facility.
Well, yeah,
but this is what I'm trying to get to.
See if you're trying to get to a point or not.
Yeah,
We understand
your
your line of questioning.
The same point's been made, is that he testified he has facilities to monitor this, and even if he had other things, I don't want to be testifying, but what I'm trying to bring out is the point that he does not monitor activities taking place on the road in front of him. He does not use any of the data which he currently has available to him to tell what time drop-offs are being made, and that I don't believe you have any reason to believe that if he's not trying to do anything now, why would he try to do anything in the future? And has been pointed out to you
by our attorney.
Were you aware that there were previous restrictions granted that were put onto the resolution when the original site plan was granted?
I'm not aware of that. Maybe.
No, I think he's saying, did you know your hours were 8 to 5 and 5 to 11?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know because I have not read all the original one, but do you know if there were any restrictions that were made environmental, such as no idling of the trucks, sign posted to say that, that you would make sure that signs are posted in accordance with the DEP on truck idling and truck parking? I haven't read the resolution. I don't know if they're in there. I'm just asking if you know.
No, they're currently in place now. There's signage for no idling currently in place in the facility.
That's all I have. Okay. Are you going to open to comments later, or do you?
Yeah, at the very end, then everybody can come back. Right now, we do one witness at a time, and at the end, you can.
Thank you for your time.
Sure. Frank.
Need a motion to extend if we're going to do that.
Yes, we do, because it's 10:30, which by our rules is a stopping point, and it's late enough anyway. And we didn't even get to your next witness, who we do have to get to next time.
Just has a personal issue.
No,
Okay.
Of course, someone
Yeah.
interfere with that. So, Counselor? And Bruce, what do we got?
We need an extension because the time of decision is 12/1, and we got based on the 12/11 meeting.
We do. We have
12/11?
12/11.
12/11. Okay.
We need to grant an extension to 12/31, Mr. Liebling.
Of course.
And continue the hearing until 12/11, no further notice be granted.
Just check my calendar.
Do we have to do that as a motion right now?
Yeah, but before
First,
we...
first he
I
has
want-
to
I
agree.
want-
Yeah.
I want to see if he's...
It's okay.
Okay. If the board is agreeable.
So we need a motion.
A motion to continue this hearing till December 11th, 2014, at 7:30 PM or soon thereafter, as the board shall hear it, without further notice, and the applicant is granting an extension on the time of decision till 12/31/14.
Which the board accepts.
Which the board is
Is there a motion to that effect?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Nope. So that's done. You're on for December 11th, no further notice. Thank you, Counselor. See you then.
Thank you all. It's been a very constructive evening. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
That's kind of you to say.
He's not.
Like you said, Mike, lawyers lie. No, thank you. Very kind of you. Bruce, we don't have anything else, do we? Yeah, you do? What do you have, Bruce?
On the agenda.
Oh.
Yeah.
What, correspondence?
Very quickly.
Okay, go ahead.
The letter dated October 21st from Somerset County Planning Department indicating that the stormwater management rules are being amended and will occur in September, in the spring of 2015. The second letter I'd like to bring to your attention is dated October 29, 2014, from the GSA indicating that they are making application for wetlands permits of DEP. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, we are adjourned.
The next meeting is December the 4th.
December the 4th, folks, when we come back.